The assembly shop will open its doors again from August 1st through August 4th to bring you 2 battle-hardened, respect-commanding heavy tanks. It's an excellent opportunity to score 2 rare Tier 10s, the Object 452K and Kampfpanzer 07PE. They don't have numbered styles, but each tank has its own character. If tanks had their own rapid response team, the Kampfpanzer 07PE would head it up. It's a versatile heavy that can almost keep pace with medium tanks. It rapidly takes key positions and holds them under fire, thanks to its strong turret and good gun depression. The gun strikes quick and true, just as it should. The dozer blade on the hull isn't just for show. It protects the tank from heat shells. The Kampfpanzer is a real diamond on rough terrain. But when it's time for a fearless advance, it calls on the Object 452K. The Object was designed for thrill seekers. Its low profile, well-angled armor, and overall predatory look cry out for aggressive play. The tank steams toward opponents, bouncing away shells like tennis balls and blasting back 560 HP returns. Good stabilization lets it stay on the move. In general, everything allows the object to fulfill its intended purpose: attacking. Both tanks can handle similar tasks, but in different ways. Choose the one that suits you the best, or grab both. Once you've picked out your new favorite Tier 10, allocate resources the way you want, and then move on to the next one. Add 2 rare heavies to your collection. In the World of Tanks assembly shop from August 1st.
那么我们恭喜黑太阳战队获得2023 WCI 坦克世界冠军赛国际决赛的总冠军。
So after we lost to Storm in qualification, yeah?
Struggled the day before. We nearly lost against Dopamine.
A lot of fans, especially the Polish fans.
The main reason of our downfall, let's like this, it was transfer of the mode.
We just, took the power, like we did it, so like no words. When we arrived here, everyone was like, okay, soon the games are closer and closer.
本场比赛由 Dopamine 对战 Hit and Run， 请双方做最后的赛前准备。
那么这一波开团，我感觉 Hit and Run 可能真的准备不足，主战场多人的情况下，还被对手打了一个大的战损比。
They were already warmed, so we had to. We needed time, extra time to adjust, yeah, to see how to play on stage.
恭喜到 Dopamine 0-3。
作为美服的冠军，展示出了他们的冠军实力。
So actually the player who always motivates us the most is Monster. He's always saying like the good words that we have to step up our game and just be focused, that we are better than them.
That's the right moment that we had to do the comeback.
要过来了，
但是呼吸还有
火箭
直接
冲
被带走。
锋，甩尾射击，一气呵成。
哇！
对方现在点位的优势巨大，
人头以及血量优势是非常大的。恭喜 Hit and Run 顶住压力
5-4拿下了第一场比赛的胜利。
我们接下来的所有比赛全部都是淘汰赛，只有一次机会。
他们的内战主要是看什么呢？就是针对与反针对，他们对彼此都非常的了解。
On the stage, we are the competitors, especially that we used to play in past together, like in the same teams.
恭喜 Storm 1-0拿下首局比赛 ，Rexer 这边没有办法了。恭喜 Storm， 再下一城4-2。
Że sam ten finał to raczej był taki spacerek i nawet ciężko mi się było cieszyć po tym finale. Raczej nie czułem żadnych emocji. Po prostu było tak.
这是一个 NC 青币Piotr 25滴血，哎呦 ，Monster 63竟然是战神一样，战神下凡，但是 Piotr 又水炮被战客们带走，恭喜 Storm 拿下赛点。
No more time left to make it.
战术上对这种特征不得不出战。恭喜 Headrun 扳回一个赛点，压迫性非常的强啊！这个同时在3线和7线同时前压，同时场防他也不放过对面。Headrun 顶住压力5v5。身上，哎呦 ，Jordan 又被收走了 ，Zaki。Headrun 连扳3个赛点进入决赛。
Ale do samego końca wierzyłem, że uda nam się pokonać Stormy, bo to było dla mnie bardzo ciężkie widzieć ich w takiej sytuacji, ale ktoś musiał ten mecz wygrać.
层层的角逐，最终是来自欧洲赛区的 Hit and Run 战队与来自中国赛区的万万战队披荆斩棘，最终会师总决赛。
Karma, he played really well. I think he took a lot of MVPs in this tournament. The whole team, I think, yeah, they play really well as a team. Play aggressive.
让我们看一看冰川之地将有怎样精彩的战斗吧。
开着自己的技能，倒也有点难了，是稳稳的陷入被动。
有减伤，他有减伤。成功的收掉，7-0拿下海岸争霸。看到双方出现的血量上的差距，
也要被带走了。
恭喜到 Hero One 再次拿下1分。
但是队友已经给到了江山的武力币，漂亮。
I feel that the most important round for us was the El Halo, the longest game when there was a draw.
又一次来到了万万人头上的领先。
Okay, so when we were left 2 versus 3, we knew that we have to kill one tank.
So I just make a call to run, hide, and don't get any damage.
时间已经到了，
已经来到了平局。
现在就需要计算一下双方这个造成伤害的一个差距。
他的伤害就多一点点，900多。
Very proud of them. Like it was hard work, you know, but we all done it, so I'm really proud of them.
现在来到了一个 Hero One 5打1。
Hit and Run 即将拿下自己的又一个总冠军。
这是恭喜到 Hero One。
海盗尽头天作暗，山登绝顶我为峰。双饭王 Hit and Run 仍然在山巅静候挑战者。
So I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed coming to China and winning tournaments here, obviously. I'm happy that I'm back-to-back champion. You know, I wanted to came back here and win again, and I think that's it.
We're gonna keep working, hard work, you know, play trainings, and I hope we're still gonna be a competitor to get the championship in the future. If you overcome all challenges, keep in mind that you have to, in the end, face me.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
Hello gamers and welcome to the OLC number 4 sponsored by AMD. We've replaced Kihan with a far more handsome British model. Hello Mov, how are you doing?
British model? You flatter me, sir, you flatter me. It's good to be back. It's great to be your casting companion, such a tenured professor of the world of tanks casting, but I've been out of the loop for a while. I've skipped a couple of tournaments. We had WCI, that event that went down over there, and I find myself thrown in right into the semi-finals.
Very important semi-finals as well. Some would even say that the next 2 matches are the most important because they will decide who gets that direct ticket to WCI later on in the year.
Yeah, that golden ticket, and one might argue that the OLC hashtag number 4, sponsored by AMD, is probably the most important tournament of the year because it will secure those seats on the plane, like you say. But it's not only the teams that can be winners today. You two at home can as well. We've got drops coming your way, and don't forget those mystery drops, the chance to get, I believe that looks like a Object 252U Defender and a Ascent 7-1 potentially.
5-1. Not 7.
5-1.
No?
7-1's the tier 9 regular tech tree, correct?
Yeah, that is that's indeed is a possibility. Don't forget to quickly refresh to make sure that those are collecting. But then, of course, the prize pool here, 8,000 euros. But most importantly, of course, that ticket you can see it for the first and the second. The other teams still have a possibility to make it, but you want to lock in that secure slot as quickly as possible.
Yeah, there's levels to the safety net, right? You want to get into that grand final because you're 100% going. But never mind that, these are the additional prize pool, the nice goodies that the winning team is going to get today. A very nice AMD CPU for those teams.
Yeah, and this nice addition to any computer, top-of-the-line processor sponsored by AMD. W could be the first team to get 3 of those, which would be pretty funny.
Yeah, you could start stacking them like a deck of cards, but I don't know. Do you want to guide us through this this PowerPoint presentation we got here?
I mean, we're already like basically over halfway. This is the rest of the year in terms of tournaments. So after this one, as you can see, Legends Cup number 4, we have the wildcard qualifier, which is on the 23rd of August. After that, we will be following it up with the Onslaught Legends Series number 4, and then very quickly after that, we will be having WCI. It's going to be a very quick run-up for the teams there from OLS into WCI. So a lot of action coming your way in Q4 of 2025. A lot of action today as well. Let's take a look back at the bracket and how we got here today. W beating Collapse 4-1, but Weekend beating Rage 4-2.
Yeah, and that was the big upset of the day. I think everyone's familiar. I mean, of course, you have to remember that Rage is formerly Cashback, but those top 4 teams, you would have expected them all to go through in their quarterfinals, but Weekend were able to upset the apple cart, and I actually managed to predict that, and I was very proud of myself for that, of course.
Yeah, Moff might actually finally, after 17 years, be winning a prediction game, unbelievably enough. We all started off with W versus Weekend, then we're going to have Hit and Run versus Mafia, and then we're going to close it out with the finals. Now, those times are, of course, under consideration because it depends on how long the matches go.
Yeah, and don't forget, these semi-finals, they're best of 9s. They can really go for quite a long time, especially if we get all the way into that 9th round, that tiebreaker. Our upcoming match, the first one of the day, the semi-final, it is the reigning champs from OLC 3 is W. You will all remember and be familiar with a lot of these names, but there are some names in here that you will also remember, but haven't been in this lineup before, and that is the likes of Squeezy.
Squeezy indeed, coming over from Cashback, now known as Rage, settling into this team, and then a bit before that, Mentos coming over from Hit and Run, and then they have added Nepal from LTP. Weekend is a bit of a mix of a few teams.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting lineup, really, when you dig a bit deeper and look into it. You've got Ized, who I believe was kind of the team captain of Cashback. I don't know exactly the situation on there, so I don't want to declare that, but he was definitely a very powerful voice within that Cashback side. And of course, you've got the core from the old Darkside team, which was in the OLC for the Onslaught Legends series for 3 seasons. So it's a very experienced lineup.
Yeah, they have a lot of players that have been around for quite a while, but now they gotta mesh it together and make it work for them. The community, however, not really believing in another weekend upset.
No, and to be fair to the community, they have to just singularly pick a winner. So most of them are obviously going to go with W, they're being the favorite team. But I think we could get really quite a competitive match here. They already played each other in the group stage during the Swiss, and that went 5-3 to W before. So Weekend definitely showing that they can put some hurt onto towards W.
It is indeed not unlikely for Weekend to put up a good fight here. Squeezy, talked about him earlier, adding that Inspire tank, mainly be found in Centurion X's and 1-to-1Bs, or Udes's.
Yeah, he's kind of just been swapped in as the 1-for-1 trade with formerly Gotcha Baby, who has since stepped down from competitive play for the W team. But if you were going to get a replacement for what was your star player, Squeezy definitely is that guy. Trash Panda, on the other hand, the player from Weekend here, obviously formerly from Darkside as well. He's actually usually one of the light tank players, so it's not really surprising he'd have a little bit less DPG or average damage as we display here, but I'm not exactly sure who the main light tank player is from Weekend. It feels like sometimes it's different people.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, having multiple players that can play light. W has a lot of those as well, but map pick and bounce yesterday was best of 7. Today are best of 9s. Himmels are being removed by W. Yankee by Weekend gives us Westfield as first map. Now, after Westfield, we move into Sand River, Mov.
Yeah, both these teams have played Sand River. I believe they clashed on it previously in that group stage. The result of that escapes me on this occasion, but what I do remember from that previous matchup between these two teams is that Weekend caught out W on a couple of occasions by just absolutely blitzing it through the middle of the map, particularly on a map like Ensk. They just drove straight down the line, run it back with Bliskovitzes and BZs, and it actually seemed to work quite effectively.
Yeah, it was indeed pretty interesting. Now, what maps do you think favor Weekend? Which ones do you think favor W?
I would say Westfield favors W. That's just the feeling I get. That's just the vibe. Sand River, I think, is more of a 1-1 map. Ensk maybe also. I think maybe, of course, we don't know much, but I think maybe W could take an early lead on Westfield. But surprises are possible. Our predictions, though, all going with W, just like the community is. 5-3, 5-3, 5-3. Daki going with a 5-2. So really not expecting the same level of performance from Weekend.
I think W just wants to lock himself into this, China.
Yeah, you might say that this is the grand final before the grand final in terms of key importance, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's like mini finals. All of them are really mini finals in a way, which all are very important in different aspects.
You're right. It's a very important match. Lineups coming through here as the teams juggle their tank picks to decide what they want to play, and I am very happy because there seems to be a couple of badges rolling around.
Yeah, we saw like triple badge already on Westfield. In this regard, it's only going to be 2 for W and 1 for Weekend, but a lot of tank destroyers behind that as well. FCRV for W, but triple Bliska for Weekend.
Yeah, Weekend definitely looking more like they want to go for the fight. That is exactly what the Bliskovica is designed to do, but both teams have flexibility here. We've still got a light tank for either side. Planes being used here at the start by both teams. How many are spotted in the beginning? Only 2 on the side of Weekend, 3 on the side of W, so not a whole lot of info for either team.
Indeed, but Klurf will take the information tower, but backs off from it. Sunshine taking the one in return, so they will have full info on what is happening.
And information is power, knowledge is power. As Sunshine takes that radar uncontested, no one from W in position to punish for that. Klurf, of course, doesn't have a replane, so all is well there. They do now know about Jakiva in that STRV, and this setup is pretty common. We've seen W use this on multiple occasions, as have other teams. You got the BZ in that C1 pocket, STRV covering from behind.
Pretty slow approach from both of these so far, and unlikely to really change. There's a BZ boosting towards B2, taking position there, but this is the kind of Westfield split that we're seeing nowadays.
It is, and you can see just how passive the light tank is. Klurf all the way in K1, because he knows that if he commits much further than this, then he's going to be risking getting into a 1v1 fight, and that really is a 50-50, and who gets the first shot advantage. Couple trades going on in the north right now. It's just Clownzig taking one shot of damage in his BZ, but really quite the stalemate going on. Teams just trying to figure out how they want to approach the situation. Even the cap is being blocked, so no one's really under any pressure right now.
Clownzig uses the information tower, spots out everything and anything, so they will see that W really hasn't moved too much, just holding in the far back.
Yeah, I think we could be very much in for the long haul for this game, especially when you consider just how passive Klurf is. There's no way that he's going to be found easily or go down easily. But I think for Weekend, the one advantage they do have is that they are continually able to collect that radar tower for free, which is allowing them to just reconfirm positions, whereas W cannot.
And of course, you know, the abilities are being charged with every usage. They also have a strike available, so they can start lowering the HP of one target slowly but surely. A little bit of HP being traded out. Neither of the two going to be doing too much with that.
I mean, if you want to, for your weekend, you can really spend another 4 or 5 minutes just collecting multiple strikes, and when you collect maybe 2, 3, 4 strikes, you get into that endgame brawl. It could make all the difference when you go for the final push.
They use a communications tower, they reveal everybody from W. Clownzig is now taking the other one in return. Some more information available. He takes a big hit though by Jakiva and that SCRV, 500 with that ability. But another strike being gathered, like you said, they do have the possibility to stack those slowly but surely.
Yeah, it's a very, very slow burn of a round right now. Look at those beautiful traces that we've got added to the UI there, just showing us what exactly everyone is shooting at. That's Jakiva just taking some pot shots, trying to blind on towards that strike, but doing so unsuccessfully. And again, they're just waiting for that radar tower. It's a very, very, very passive game.
I do believe that this double strike though, and even maybe Sunshine can come take the next one, right? In a minute. Klurf did get a plane, and he's gonna get the reset as well on towards Kano from Squeezy. So Klurf now with a potential perma-plane as well, which we can't, I think, realize as well.
Yeah, so that radar tower is probably not going to be collected, at least in the immediate short term. And shuffling the pieces back across the map, the Sentect is going to rotate all the way over back towards A5. And if you've played randoms, you spawn bottom side in your mediums that you like to play hold down with, you know it takes quite a long time to get back up to the north of the map.
The downside there is Isaac got communications tower. Klurf did hit the plane, but Squeezy did not connect the shot. So that's plane gone from Klurf. You had to wait a long time to get that. And now, most likely, you can see that double strike go on to a target of the side of W. Isaac will probably pop the ability, take the strike again. And, you know, that's 1,200 damage onto somebody.
Yeah, it is. And ultimately, remember, if all of the tanks stay alive from both teams, it's going to go into the draw rules. And if everyone's alive, then it'll go to the second rule, which is damage dealt. And even though everyone's almost full HP, it's still going to apply.
The question is, who did they opt to strike? If anybody at all? No, they're actually keeping the strikes right now. Clownzig will get another communications tower. They will activate that one as well, you would guess, because they do want to take that middle strike where Isaac is once more. So now where are the strikes going? It seems to be Squeezy.
Squeezy is the chosen target. don't think he had ability. Actually, he did have ability, so he could have opted to use it to just minimize the damage a little bit. More blind shots coming in from Jakifa on that red line in his natural habitat. IZ will collect another strike though, so
it's more than like, look at the ability difference right now.
Everyone's charged from Weekend, you're right.
It will matter, to be honest, if it comes down to draw rules. The fact that you see Clownzik already with a level 2 heal, Kano with the Inspire ready, all of the Assault ADs have a Juggernaut, with ISET even having level 3 Juggernaut, tier 3 plane as well. It will make a difference.
It will make a difference, and like you say, W, the way the Weekend's set up, W, if they try to go for the push right now, Weekend is perfectly well set up for this, and W, if things stay as they are, they are going to be losing the round because they don't have any strikes that the Weekend do. And even though everyone is full HP, it's really quite comical, but that's just going to be the way it is.
I mean, ISET is also not committed too far at the same time, so they can't really repush him, but W has to make a move here. You may be wondering why they're letting the time tick out. That's a good question that we do not have the answer for right now. They shouldn't. They should be actually being more proactive, because as it stands, they will be losing.
It's very difficult though, because the way they're set up is so defensive. The STRB is such a passive piece. It's very difficult to be actively involved in the game. The STRB is currently rotating through the south. Mentos is making a push, so this is going to be the move from W that you were hoping for and expected. But the radar tower has been used, which means that the jig is up. They know what's coming. Itox taking damage as he crosses the field towards the south of the map, and don't forget Sunshine in that crossfire in the K-line.
And now, yet again, a big shot, or big shots coming out onto a Squeezy even. He drops to below 2,000 as well, and we can hit the perfect timing with that radio tower. I said backing off the whole way, and now W realizing, well, we are in trouble. They're going to have to do something. Sunshine doesn't have a plane available for Klurf in that location, so they will be able to take the communications tower and reveal all of the positions from Weekend. But ISET and Sunshine, I think, are sniffing this out, putting the AX already back towards A4, and even Clownzik could potentially go back if he opted to do so towards the A3 pocket.
Yeah, in their attempt to try and claw back the advantage in this game, they may have actually just made the deficit far worse. And look, Klurf trying to drive in towards the middle. This is a bit of a desperate move to try and capture one of the mid strikes. Potentially W trying to regroup towards the north of the map. They're rotating Mentos in as well, but I can't help but think that Weekend are still fully set up for this.
And Sunshine and ISET are now starting to come in as well. And we talked about those abilities. Both teams have them charged now as well. Klurf even taking a strike to deny the mid strike, making it also more annoying for W. The plane gets used on towards Kano from Klurf, but now Frugo boosting across on towards Clownzik. And there is a thing here to him off, and it's called kills are over damage. And Clownzik right now looks a bit isolated.
Kills are more important, but in W's attempt to try and get this kill, they got to be careful that they don't go down themselves. Clownzik is going to be in a lot of trouble because Mentos is pushing across the open in towards that A3 pocket. That's going to trigger someone from Weekend to make a play. Trash Panda goes hunting for Klurf, but Klurf is already wise to it and running away as W dump over the middle of the map. They do manage to get that kill on towards Clownzik. If they can just keep the guns alive with 50 seconds remaining, they will be winning the round, but the HP bleed on towards Yoz in his Badger is significant.
Evil is going to go down. In the meantime, though, the Badger tried to push across, and he is in trouble. 2 kills up right now for the side of W, and somehow Weekend, maybe a little bit too complacent, finally look to retaliate on towards Itox. He's a one-shot, but Hellrap is not doing much better himself, and that Bliskovice and the AX from Kano being pushed back as well. All of a sudden, this North repush, it is working out, leaving tanks out of position. We talked about how Clownzik could have repositioned, probably should have as well.
Perhaps it's still just very close here. W just doing what they can to desperately keep the one-shots alive. Yoz and that Badger is hold down. Sunshine is not going to be allowed to peek that for free. He will get blown up if he tries to peek for that. IZ is going to try and make some sort of peek, but W, they still have the guns advantage. With 1 second left, it looks like they have clutched the round in such a slow burner. It all came to a head right at the end.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, Clownzik, they left him, isolated him off. If you want to play for that draw rules.
Yeah, I mean, the whole game, it looked like Weekend just had that just little advantage just by having the strikes available, and we thought that W were in trouble, especially because most of the Weekend team were positioned towards the north of the map, but Clownzig in that position is still very much pushable, and Mentos is just able to cross in towards that A3 pocket, and you kind of get the sense, or I get the sense, that Weekend, it's almost as though they were caught clock watching or ball watching. It's just like, oh, just 2 more minutes, we're going to win it based on the draw rules, and then suddenly the push comes in and you've lost the round.
Yeah, and we won't have battle results, but I can tell you that Jakefa was actually top damage with 3.8, but across the board, nothing to stand out. But yeah, you know, Weekend there, they had the damage, but they did not have the perfect positioning to deal with this, though.
No, but I did like the way they set up in the beginning of the game, because too often we've seen these games on Westfield where one of the teams will commit to a full brawl setup in the north of the map, and the other team will play for a control-based setup, which is essentially what W is doing, right? But because of the fact that Weekend brought a little bit more flexibility to their lineup, essentially the SDRV was completely useless for the first like 6-7 minutes of the game. It's only because they just managed to find that push right at the end that they were able to find use.
Yeah, and even the SDRV was forced to play aggro then at that point, and W kind of steal it away. If you're Weekend, this feels like a, I don't know how we lost this, guys, kind of moment.
Yeah, it feels like definitely a false start to the match, and you know, I did think that W would be coming out with an early lead on Westfield. This isn't quite the way that I imagined that they would be able to achieve it, but it's a long way to go in a best of 9. So if you're Weekend, you better put that round behind you very quickly and move on to the next one.
Will we see another similar passive approach? Because it seems to be the new Westfield meta, like this kind of slower, split out kind of battle.
You're playing the percentages, right? And I'm not going to say I'm happy that the games are such a slow burn like this, but it always felt like the team that played for just the full North Brawl setup, you were just gambling always. You were always just gambling that your opponent wouldn't play for control, because it's so difficult to win. It's so difficult to win when you just play a full North setup with, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 BZs and the rest of them being Bliskowitzes. You have no flexibility, you have no eyes to provide any crossfire. IZ, of course, transferring over from Rage, as we mentioned pre-game, in towards Weekend, it seems like that's given them quite the boost. Especially since they were able to overcome them just in the previous match.
I mean, Weekend need to make this 1-1 here kind of style happen if they want to stay competitive in this match. W and Sun River, they're pretty decent in it, so we can't expect to win that 2-0. Lineup-wise, though, Weekend quad BZ, triple Bliskowice.
It's exactly what we just talked about. The quad BZ and then a bunch of Bliskowitzes. That is a full North Brawl if ever I've seen it before. W going for some very, very interesting, weird and wonderful picks. I know Keyhand will be happy because for some reason he just loves the Object 140, which apparently is being brought by Squeezy. That's definitely an interesting pick. That tank has very much fallen out of popularity across all different game modes in meta, just because the low alpha, sure you've got nice DPM, but low alpha is not really ideal, but W seem to think so.
Good playing though. Spots all 7. W know what is coming.
Yeah, and that is huge, right? If Weekend had anything, it might have been some slight element of surprise, but W having full information, full understanding of the situation, I'd be really surprised if they get caught off by this. Yoz is going to go into that A3 pocket though, which is going to prevent Weekend from pushing any further.
Got has been started by the side of Weekend. Thrush Panda, Iced and Hellrap might be surprised by the double push B and the 140, who are now starting to unleash on towards Evil, who is taking the hurt minus 1.9 on that first BZ, but the push continues nonetheless. Those tanks at A5 now starting to get spotted out, starting to get shot back even by the Bliskovitzes. Kano all the way in there, Sunshine trying to help Hellrap. Thrush Panda now relocating as well. Drakefa and Itox are the targets at hand. Can they get the kills that are needed? I think Clownzik missing the shot there gives Drakefa the opportunity to do one more shot of damage as well in that Bliskovice. Hellrap now cleaning up the remainder. Sunshine and Evil going towards Isles. There is potential here for Weekend.
There is potential. They will manage to find that kill on Yoz. It's going to take them some time though, because he's still got plenty of HP remaining. They're just about finishing off the anchor tanks from W in the sort of C4 part of the map. Kano went on a bit of a solo quest towards A5. Yoz just doing what he can to just try and stay alive. He does get gun blocked though by Sunshine, so a great job by him to just prevent the damage coming in. The HP slightly in favor of W right now. They do have the ace up their sleeve though, which is Klurf in that light tank for the endgame.
It's a 6-on-4 though. W had everybody waiting for this push, and that doesn't seem we were able to deal with it. The bigger problem here right now is that there might be a lot of cap pressure very soon onto the side of W, and they have no strengths to deal with this.
Potentially, but I think maybe Weekend are worried that they can't actually cross back from A3 with those BZs because they are still just hanging around in that part of the map. Trash Panda has moved back towards the south of the map, trying to just pressure away Klurf in his light tank, who's now collecting the strike in the south of the map, and that could be very important. Just barely missing the shot. Trash Panda goes for the blind, does not connect, and Klurf collecting that strike could be all important in preventing this cap from going through.
Well, the good thing there for Weekend is that Iced will survive simply because Klurf needs to strike the cap. So reveal will be there. Klurf needs to strike the cap. Has to do it as well. Puts the plane now to make sure that he gets it. Iced will survive because of this. He'll be putting the plane, triple, cap,
triple.
Yeah, the strike will be on time though. It's landing now. So there's the reset. He did pick the target with the most cap points, and now Squeezy in the 140 starting to move in as well. Thrush Panda getting pressured by Frugo. That's a full HP, Fush, B, and Klurf as well. That's some good damage, but Frugo did have the ability available, of course, but Thrush Panda on the run, on the move, being very annoying here.
And he's got his ability active. Don't forget that ability allows him to have slightly more mobility as Frugo gives chase in his Fosh B. That is a very fast tank destroyer in its own right. They do manage to find that kill, but in return, Squeezy is going to go down. He was forced close to block the cap because they had no other way of resetting, so he is eliminated. But just look at the HP remaining. Weekend, they do have the advantage in guns, but they've only got 2,000 HP left.
And they're healing each other there on the cap as well, making it a little harder. Evil and Iced, I think, need to push out even on towards Mentos, or at least be very ready for Mentos to make the play. Hellrap locking down on towards Klurf. Pops the ability, makes it, so he's still a 3-shot nonetheless. Klurf doesn't find it there either, and he needs to reset. Mentos immediately starting to get shot at. Pops the ability, peeking high and wide on that top level. Klurf now getting shot back. Hellrap as well, but he does find the reset for that. And now, what can Weekend do as a reaction? They find Mentos, he dies on A5. That's one angle of approach eliminated.
Yeah, I think Mentos there just felt pressured to go close. The strike is used by Frugo to pick up the kill on towards Hellrap. That's maybe going to free up Klurf to try and find some angles here, but not using that strike on the cap to get the kill on Clownzig, for example, may have been a mistake. But into the 2v4 we go. Just Weekend hanging out on that cap circle. Blind shot by Clownzig on towards Klurf as he's forced to go close.
And he gets the heal.
He's got to make a very desperate play, and Clownzig has just healed up, and Klurf does not connect the shot, and that will mean that Weekend secured the second round. Forget about the first one. Forget about what I said about playing full North Brawl setup. It works out perfectly.
Yeah, and for W, it's kind of the similar feeling as for Weekend, right? You have all your tanks in the beginning ready for this push, and you are not able to deal with it quite effectively.
Certainly no, and it did feel in the beginning of the push that W, surely they're just going to go to town and absolutely farm their opponent here. They had maybe 3 tanks in the back, I think it was double Fosh B plus the 140. and they were just shooting away the whole time. It felt like they should have done a truckload of damage. Mental certainly did, 6.7 in that Foch B. But I have to question what the purpose of bringing the 140 is in that particular situation. I still don't quite understand it. Yours, of course, got pushed upon in A3. Not really much more that he could have done in that scenario, but I really like the way that Weekend coordinated that push. It wasn't just Ooga Booga, we're going to push into A3 first and get all of our tanks focused out. They were able to sort of pincer from multiple different directions in order to focus out the guns.
But Mental's there with the 6.7k though. Very, very good performance from him. He did have a powerful position, and that is Westfield done. Now going on to Sand River.
Yep, Westfield does get split 1-1, and given that that was W's pick, I suppose good start for Weekend. Going down 2-0, I mean, it's best of 9, so it doesn't really matter too much, but as long as you can keep your opponent close and within touching distance, it's always a nice place to be. We're going to go on towards Weekend's map pick of Sand River. I think they played before in the matchup they had against each other. I'm just going to check and see who actually won those matches. No, they didn't play Sand River in their previous game against each other.
I'm curious to see the Sand River because especially Weekend can be this very explosive team like we just saw.
Certainly, and they are, I mean, as illustrated, they are very, very comfortable with going for aggro pushes, and Sand River definitely has the possibility for that, especially up over the K line from either side.
I mean, so far, Weekend has shown that they're a tough opponent, and this team definitely meshing together so far.
Yeah, I think the pickups that they had definitely helped a lot. I don't know how many members from the Weekend team that actually qualified into the next season of OLS. I don't know how many of their members are actually staying the same, but it feels like we've got a combination of maybe 3 different teams in this lineup, and so far, like you said, the combination seems to be flowing very well.
I just, you know, Sand River is not the kind of map where the super aggressive play seems to work out, to be honest. That's why I'm a little bit worried.
No, I think I remember when we first saw Sand River in the OLS, the up and over on towards K-Line seemed to be working out quite effectively, and I think that's because the team that played from the Eastern spawn, they were very interested in having 1 or 2 guns in the committed on the K-Line, right? But I think what teams have since realized is that you don't necessarily need to hold the K-Line aggressively, especially in 7v7. Your tanks are spread so thin across the map, it's difficult to hold on to all the key areas.
Lineup wise, double K91 though for Weekend. Bit interesting. And the fact both teams are playing with a T100.
That is interesting. T100 is usually like the lock-in pick for Cliff because of the difficulty of shooting the tank as it goes up the hill. I guess it's the same kind of logic for the strikes in the sort of mid-north of the map, just a slightly smaller profile, lower profile, harder to hit, planes being used at the start by both of these teams. 3 tanks, 4 tanks spotted on the side of W. The bat chats are known about, so that is good info for Weekend. Trash Panda and his Hurricane already just running away towards the north of the map. Radar tower has been collected by Clerf. They managed to sneak that one right under their noses. It's not often that you usually get that.
No, that's for sure. But, you know, Sunshine takes a strike. And so far, Weekend doing a little bit of initial damage as well, setting it off pretty solid.
Do you see where the bat chats went from W, though? That seemed very, very strange. They both just drove into the middle bushes, which you pretty much never see anyone going over there. So I think they had an idea of what they wanted to do to make some sort of play and dump over and do their clips, but I think they called it off. Clerf now trying to collect that strike in middle. It will be denied. Sunshine uses his strike. He collected just a minute prior to reset that, but with Mentos being committed now in this position in the BZW, they are essentially forced to support him by playing for the north of the map.
K91 here of Evil could be surprised by Frugo and Ios. He does have a Hurricane in support and a Centurniax, but that will be a third bad shot joining, and even a T100 by the looks of things. But Evil finding some good shots on towards Mentos, and I think that will trigger the reaction here from W, as well as the double bad shot starts making their way forward. Ios speaking out, Frugo coming in as well, and Evil getting tracked, wants to go into a safer position, will not find it, getting ammo racked as well. That's unfortunate in that K91, but the damage in return, Ios pretty low, Frugo not doing too much better.
No, they do trade HP for this, but they do manage, of course, to find the kill, which is the most important thing. As long as Yoz survives on just 500 HP, they will be more than content with that trade. And don't forget, there's a K91 all the way in the south on K-Line who's actually providing crossfire, just a lone K91, completely separated from the rest of his team. And that's just putting Weekend in a bit of a weird sandwich. Vladislav almost doesn't know what to do. Thought he could just peek on towards that BZ in the middle of the map, and W seem to be somewhat encircling their opponent, almost Clove going for that radar tower once again, which means that this push, this re-push over the north of the map will be spotted.
Yeah, for some reason, Klanzik in the Mivi, who was covering the south, decided to come back towards the middle, allowing Nepal even to push up that southern part, take the strike, and be extremely annoying.
Yeah, he's just going to get a freebie there, and given how much free reign he's been granted, he's just going to keep pushing the advantage even further, maybe even just lock down the JK line altogether. And the map control, look at Weekend, Isaac just trying to claw some of it back by making some moves in the north of the map, but he's kind of passive right now, not really in a position to make a play.
In the meantime, these batches from W repositioning in towards the middle of the map. They're making the moves across the map right now, taking control, taking a triple strike by the looks of things as well. And this is looking rather dire for Weekend, especially because they just happen to give up so much control in this one.
Yeah, they're being out-rotated right now. That is very much for sure. Clerf manages to find the kill on Clownzig, who goes down in his M5Y. Did he maybe crash or something? Because he was really tucked in towards F1. I have to imagine that he maybe crashed. I can't imagine how he would have gone down in that position, but we'll never mind about that. The Batchats are going straight through the middle of the map. They have found Vladislav in his BZ, and he is not going to be surviving for very much longer here as he boosts towards Itox, just making it as difficult as possible. Itox has to readjust to find that kill, but he will go down nonetheless. And W, that's another kill. 3 down, 4 to go. They are in full control of the situation.
Yeah, I don't think this one is going to slip out of their fingers. Good stuff there. I mean, you know, there's pressure in the north, you know, this Mivi, then I think he drove towards like G3, then he went back to G1, took like 2,000 damage doing that, and then they just started to get out-rotated by this very mobile lineup. There was a big overreaction to Evil being pushed in the north. I mean, yeah, they lost the tank, but they did a good amount of damage for that.
They did do a good amount of damage, and you're right, they did rotate to try and protect their boy. Kano now running away in the Cent AX, just trying to stall out the round for as long as possible for those all-important tiebreaker rules if we do get to the end of the best of 9. But I just want to focus in on that M5Y because I think I noticed him right in the corner of F1, and that's not a normal position for you to die in your... or not a normal position for you to be in your M5Y. Maybe he was just getting crossfired. I don't know how he went down so easily. I'm not sure.
I mean, he was pretty low HP already from going back to G1, so he was like around 1,000. I think. He got
so he ran from G3 in the open.
He was like
G1.
He was like H3, then he ended up G3, then he went back to G1. You know, like towards the 1 line. But he lost a lot of HP for that.
Yeah, so just caught out of position in the open there. And W, I think this is the first round that we can say that was truly dominant by one of the two teams.
Yeah, and it puts them ahead once again, and especially they won from the side that people say is a little bit less favored now, which is interesting to think about. But yeah, on Sand River, West is the slightly favored side, so they pick up 2-1. Was a convincing round as well. They're probably very happy with that.
Yeah, it's definitely solid work. The Batchats being that rotation force. Obviously, the Batchat's always been a very fast tank. I wouldn't be surprised if they're running turbo on them as well. That combined with low noise exhaust, it's just such a powerful tank. And even if your opponent is rotating to cover, the Batchat can just get in, dump that clip, and get out before you know what's hit you. 0 damage from Clownzig.
Yeah.
It's a rough one. You know, when you're an anchor tank and you get caught out like that, it's tough. It's very tough for you to get involved in the game.
I mean, Nepal there, we didn't really see him, but he ends up coming all the way on top. He put on some good crossfire into the middle as well, was sneaky, picked up the strike, put some pressure back in the style. It was all pretty good.
Yeah, he was definitely the sleeper pick in that round. He was just chipping away at them off screen for most of the round and ends up racking up a hell of a lot of damage. And the K91 can definitely do that. It's got the DPM machine, obviously also picked because it has the strike ability, but even so, still a big damage farmer.
Can we bring something back now? It's a big question. I feel like we might actually be going blow for a while.
It does have that feeling to it, but maybe if maybe the pace has been changed here with W winning that round so convincingly. If they win the next round 3-1, the match could very well end up spiraling out of control.
I mean, I'm curious to see how well or how long Weekend can keep up in this kind of matchup, and at the same time, it would be hilarious if W loses here.
You're an evil one.
It would be
rooting for people's downfalls.
I'm not saying I'm rooting. I'm just, you know,
it's just imagining, fantasizing about the prospect of such a knockout blow, such an upset that Weekend would be performing, and with the changes to their roster, it does feel like it's. I don't want to call it too early, but the top 4 in Onslaught, especially on EU, has always been sort of the same 4 teams. We had Storm, which kind of like fizzled out a bit, but perhaps Weekend could be rising above Rage, formerly Cashback, and maybe they could be the new top 1.
But think of it this way. If there is one more competitive team for OLS, that makes those 1 to 6 fights even more competitive.
Yeah, that's very true. And I hope that Rage, formerly Cashback, I hope that they can maintain the sort of form that we've seen from them in previous seasons, because if Weekend put themselves in the mix, then it could be a really nice fight for those top positions. Anyway, in towards round number 2 on Sand River. Weekend, they are mixing it up quite significantly. They're going to bring 5 CS, 3 reskinned Hurricanes, plus Sunshine in his RHM, and the Sente X of Kano.
That is indeed a lot of CS63s. W in return, more balanced, triple bad i7, AX, K91 and RHM. Now the question is, when does this CS group get spotted? Because it will be hard for Klurf to hit really anything. He spots only 1 CS going south.
Yeah, those CS in speedy mode are going to be very difficult to hit at the beginning of the round, and Klurf manages to spot just 1, and that might have even just been normal spot on the crossing there. So not ideal. Klurf does get his replane available though from doing a shot of damage on towards Vladislav. Frugo taking the mid strike in his batch up, but does get spotted out. Is anyone going to get a reset on that? Sunshine will from poking up towards the middle of the map. But just look at this CS on the K line in K3. All alone, all by himself. There's double Batchat just sitting in J3, unspotted right now. They're not known about by Weekend.
Now you see double CS63 rotating south though from the base, and I think that Batchat trap there is running its course and will be forced away due to just nobody revealing himself there. But so far, Weekend, you know, they do have a very, very mobile lineup.
Yeah, that's twice now that W have tried to do some sort of weird opening with Batchats in the beginning, but they end up just holding off for now, not going for anything. This is a move, though. Mentos going in for that strike in that IS-7. Very powerful tank hold down. We'll see if the HE comes in there to destroy the buildings. Going to try and prevent Mentos from capturing this. They should have a shot just barely on his turret, but that's only if he gets spotted, of course.
He does get spotted out. Kano, can he get the reset? He does! He does find the reset on Mentos, and Mentos loses his loader.
I think he may be a fuel enjoyer.
Could very well be. Would be a little bit annoying. The good thing is that I think the i7 has 2 loaders, though.
That's a good point. He does have, in fact, have fuel in his IS-7, so he wants the zoomies, but right now he's in a very passive position where it's not really going to benefit him whatsoever.
He starts picking up the strike again. There's another HE decap from Kano. I mean, the good thing for Kano is he's charging his ability with this as well, of course.
Yeah, for that all-important brawl. You want to pop that Inspire right at the perfect moment, the perfect timing. And it looks like they're trying to get shots on Mentos all the way over from the K-line. But there's a lot of control that's being given up for free here by W, and that's because they're pulling their forces towards the north of the map. They're going with the triple Batchat hit squad, and Vladislav right now, if he keeps driving in this direction, he could be driving towards his death.
I think they now know from 3 tanks in the north. They're still missing a few, but Itox, Frugo, and Nepal are in this position. Vladislav does get spotted out, and he's backing off. He finds a blind against Klurf, which I don't think he really expected. But yeah, a lot of tanks here in the north for W, and Vladislav kind of isolated. But W doesn't seem to be wanting to go for it whatsoever.
Yeah, they decided to call it off once again. These Batchats just driving in circles, padding their distance traveled, just waiting for that opportune moment. Sunshine gets caught, though. Look at those traces, just absolutely zoned in towards his position. He gets spotted in that RHM. I think he probably tried to go for a cheeky peek on that IS-7. Maybe he got planed. Not sure, but down to half HP. A little bit of a misstep.
I think they just really want to deny full info for W of what exactly is happening. But they're starting to gather some strikes, though.
They are, and they got it fully for free right now. I mean, look at W. They're just having a stroll in the park. Nice drive through the desert. They're rotating the full force, though. But I think we can say the intended strategy from Weekend is that these guys, although they may be committed in K-Line, they are CS63s, and the whole idea is probably that they're going to be able to run away very quickly should that be required.
Well, this time around, Klurf counterplanes the balcony, though, and it means Mentos finds a shot back, but he's now taking some shots from the south as well, and Evil is in trouble here together with Eyesight. If they do not see this early enough, it will be very, very hurtful. The Batchats are coming.
They are coming, and they're just lurking. They're still unspotted. Yoz gets lit early in the K91, though, and that's definitely going to indicate the intent. They may not be able to see the Batchats right now, but they sure know that they are coming. Evil is not yet running. They're rotating over Sunshine, trying to cover from the backline, but the Batchats are going in. Itox is going to start clipping on towards Evil first in that CS63. These Batchats are going to absolutely nuke the CS.
It is the triple Batchat committing with the K91 on the K-line as well. Itox dropping low, mini strikes coming in as well from the back lines. Can the second one finish him off? It's Sunshine in the RHM actually to do it. Evil with the ram as well, sandwiching Frugo, but does still go down in return. Frugo now desperately trying to run away. Trash Panda goes for the track actually. The strike as well. Can that be a good play from Trash Panda? It actually looked to be pretty damn good. Frugo down towards the one shot as well, and now we see the result. Weekend is down an extra gun, but they're up in HP. Klurf and Ios on that K-line need to be careful. Vladislav in the meantime smells out Mentos in the IS-7, who has really not too many crew members left standing, but still able to bounce pretty well. Trash Panda now going a little bit aggressive, trying to find something. Isn't able to do so. Klurf for a good shot. Trash Panda retaliates on towards Ios, who's bouncing off the CS63. Mentos falling, but Klurf finding those angles on towards that Hurricane. The strike comes out. Trash Panda still alive, though. Vladislav in the meantime has fallen in the north. Squeezy's down towards the one shot as well. And looking at it, Kano right now is the most important player in this whole battle.
He certainly is, and I think that was definitely a misstep from Vladislav, just driving through the open there in his CS. 1 minute he was full HP, then we cut away and he was dead. Perhaps he should have been a little bit more careful by committing to some crossfire in the north rather than just driving fully through the open, because I think that's given W a way back in.
Kano moving towards the middle, though. Might be even going towards the cap, or pushing through mid all the way. It's a possibility for him.
Yeah, if he gets found here, though, on the timing from Klurf with low noise, probably not going to get spotted for this, but they actually managed to avoid each other altogether. Somehow, they just pass, they don't meet, and Kano is still unknown.
Who essentially gets spotted out. He tries to Hit a shot, doesn't manage to do it. He spots out the K91 with Kano, needs to be careful. Klurf realizing this as well. A strike being taken in the south. An information tower being taken in return though. I don't think they can counter Klurf from this one at this moment in time. The mini strike though will actually do it. And Klurf needs to be careful because there is a big strike following up if they want to use that, but I don't think they will. So he gets the point of information. He pops it as well. They spot out everybody, but they are playing against double strike now as well.
Playing against double strike. I think Trash Panda is going to be the player under threat here, being a one-shot in that Hurricane. Frugo equally only on 100 HP, but W currently with the advantage. There's 2 minutes left on the clock. It's a 5v4 currently, so at the moment it's on Weekend to try and make something happen. And remember, they are not the ones in control of the radar towers, so if they want to be able to strike the likes of Frugo on his one-shot Batchat, they're going to have to spot them.
I think Kano might just fully start pushing north at this point. Well, you know, they leave the low HP CS63 to collect a strike in the south. That would make sense, right? So they generate more potential with that, but Kano just goes hunting.
Yeah, Kano on the hunt in his full HP Cent AX. Should have HE loaded up and ready to go to absolutely butter through.
He's making a good move here, though. It's a very, very powerful move.
Yeah, but he gets spotted. Klurf with a great angle to catch Kano off guard, and now he's known about. So, again, the element of surprise is lost, and if W so wish, they can just run away. They can avoid him.
In the meantime, though, Kano has fallen back, actually. He is going to go for the communication tower, I guess. Or the strike.
Actually, it looks like he might just be rerouting to find a different way to push more safely, perhaps.
Yeah, but right now, W is very passive, though. Like, this opens up Sunshine to take a communication tower, in my opinion.
There's a lot of options becoming available for the side of Weekend, and Kano pushing across the open, just
Frugo's
trying to close down the map. Frugo has been led in his Batchat, and he will not have managed to escape that
tower.
Strike range. Radar tower now being taken as well. Klurf takes another one in his RHM. He's not yet in strike range, still on 502 HP, but Squeezy is a one-shot, and with 30 seconds left on the clock, Hellrap is going to be killing Yoz in A1 as well. The net is closing, 28 seconds left.
Yeah, they can run, but they cannot hide anymore. They went so passive, though, which really put them in a bad position at some point. At some point when you're hiding so much, you could see it as well, that they started ending up in this position where they're covering nothing. Kano with the ram picking off Klurf. That, you know, Weekend just was like, okay, we can do almost anything now. Collect some extra strikes, communication tower, Kano can just drive at them, and then he will find somebody at some point.
Yeah, it feels more like you're playing not to lose rather than playing to try and get the win. And now the tables have turned, and Weekend are the ones that have the gun advantage, which means despite it being a draw, they will secure the round, and they tie the score up. We're back 2-2, and we're going to go into a best of 5.
I mean, I think it's one of the slowest onslaught best of 9s I've ever seen in my life so far.
Maybe. If we can exclude the fast round on Westfield, the push by Weekend, but apart from that, you're right. Very, very slow, methodical rounds. Just both teams rotating across the map, moving their chess pieces around. And I thought that Batchat push was going to be a lock-in for W. I thought they were just going to blow up the CS, but it turns out the crossfire was too much for them to handle.
Indeed. So it's also like they really went over and committed. Well, potentially they went a little bit in too deep, but those CS63's mini strikes and quick rotations did end up helping here. Ensk, however, coming up next.
Ensk is indeed coming up next, and unlike Sand River, this is a map that these two teams have played against each other on once before, and it's good news for Weekend fans. They won it 2-0 in the last matchup.
That is indeed. But wasn't it with some crazy pushes, though?
Yeah, they just went straight. They went, well, not through the middle of the map, but almost through the center of the map. Just pushed with, I think, maybe 3-4 BZs and then 3 Bliskovitzes. And they just drove straight at their opponent, and they managed to make it work. They focused fire and absolutely owned them. The curious thing about it, though, the really curious thing about it, though, is that they didn't bring any DPM tanks. They didn't bring any E50s, any Sentei X 121B, none of that stuff. Just pure firepower.
I'm curious to see this Ensk, and if Weekend can surprise again. I mean, W will definitely be having what happened previously in the back of their heads.
Well, they should. You don't want to just completely ignore that previous matchup, and there should be some sort of adjustment, or at least a consideration of how do we actually play against this should it happen again, because it's very possible.
I mean, W can expect at least like a few E4s, you know? They seem to be really into the E4 kind of territory, like 4 or 5 E4s.
Yeah, and the E4 is a very popular map in general. Even though the Juggernaut ability got nerfed, the E4 kind of survived the purge, if you like, because the tank got buffed in its own right. I think they buffed the reverse speed, and then it was gun handling during traverse or something like that. But either way, the E4 was made better, and that makes it a popular pick.
I mean, we see a lot less 268s now again. At some point, there was, I mean, on NA yesterday, there were a few.
NA is always 3 days ahead of the meta, of course, so swings and roundabouts. Maybe the 268 will come back around again. That is not a 268, though. That is Bliskowitzes. Make them 5. 5 of them from W, plus a Batchat, plus 1 BZ.
Well, Weekend in return, though, they're playing the W lineup. Double BZ, 121B, and 4 E4s.
Do you want to just swap the lineups around and change teams? Because it definitely looks like Weekend are playing more how we've seen W in the past, and vice versa.
I mean, W is trying to change it up, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. Hard to say right now.
It does feel quite strange to see Bliskowitzes being brought on a map like Ensk, especially because the gun arc of the tank is non-existent, so sometimes fighting on those rails can make it a very, very awkward, frustrating encounter for a tank with such a poor gunner arc. Yoz in that batch out doing spotting run early on in the game. I believe from watching previous matches, he's probably running optics, low noise, and turbo, so optics to try and spot that cross early on the beginning of the game. We've got Weekend just peppering a couple shots down the rails, probably shooting the wall as well, so they can spot the cross.
Yeah, but this W lineup has now been revealed by the communication tower, though. Mentos has got a shot against Vladislav, and you can see Weekend fully resetting on towards the field. They don't want to mess with this amount of Bliskowitzes.
The Polish tank destroyer division, which is moving closer on towards the cap, and we're getting to that point now where I think it is going to be quite awkward fights for the Bliskowitzes because of where Weekend is set up on the rails. It's not a pleasant situation to be trying to peek in those Bliskowitzes to try and get the fights. The E4s definitely have the advantage. Having at least 180 degree turret rotation makes it a lot easier to get the shots in.
But now, being fully on the field usually is not that great, though. Because of, like, you have to somehow decap.
Or you can just park it, like IZ's doing. That's probably going to elicit some sort of reaction from W, though, you would imagine. He certainly looks vulnerable. He's got his boys back behind him, Hellrap and Vladislav, both just pre-aiming an angle, just waiting for a peek to come in.
They seem to be gathering up towards the north, though, a little bit, but not really doing anything with it. And again, somehow, the game is slowing down quite a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I thought there might be some sort of reaction from W. You can see Itox there, the Tracer, just shooting that rail cart. And he's doing that so that he can spot through it, because once rail carts are destroyed, although it may still be a physical object, you can actually spot through it, just like a dead tank.
And the strike will get put, and it will miss, actually, Frugo, but it will hit Itox at the very least. So there is that. Getting a little bit of decap points in as well is always nice.
Should we say it again? I think we're... Oi, 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 but Mentos puts in a good shot. I was going to say we could be in for a long, slow round here, but IZ being just forced away from the cap. If he cannot sit there uncontested, there is a push immediately. Never mind that. It's go, go, go. Trash Panda pushing across in his BZ75, but he will not be able to catch Yoz in that batch out. That speedy batch out can run away whenever he pleases as he tries to put in a couple of shots. Weekend in a bit of a crossfire here, but they're just zooming, they're just going straight across the map. Frugo is somehow being caught in a crossfire with Sunshine. Sunshine getting shot in the back. In the meantime, it's just crossfires on crossfires, flanks on flanks. Frugo caught somehow in between 4 different guns.
Yeah, Frugo, they're trying to reinforce, but in the meantime, Weekend pouring down the middle of the map. Sunshine dying towards the one shot, though, will fall against Nepal. Doesn't even get to shoot. Try coming in as well. The HP on both teams roughly even between the two, but now Mentos boosting in with that BZ into the back lines. Will find a shot against Trash Panda. Nepal gets a shot against Karo in the third squeezy, and the Bliskavice is dead. And now, though, you can see that the guns from Weekend, they're starting to get the angles that are needed. And Ios on reload, that's a full HP bad shot. Elrap finds Mentos, and now Ios coming in. He has to make something happen on this full HP, but Nepal is the next one to get absolutely decimated by the guns of Weekend. And Iced and Itox in the 1v1 should be Iced winning this in most scenarios, but Itox should get one more. Klurf dead in the meantime as well. Iced finding the kill. Vladislav finds another as well. Nepal now together with Ios, the last two standing, and W starting to falter in this one, as it is going to be Weekend for the first time in this match to put themselves ahead on the first round of Ensk.
That was bonkers. Everyone just driving across the middle of the open, just trying to get in the fight, get involved, and try and support their teammates. Frugo just got completely caught out in the open. That initial push by Weekend, they pushed across the north of the map. It looked like their intent is to go for the batch out of Ios, right? But they know that they're never going to catch him. So it almost triggered a reaction from W, which essentially baited them into a wider crossfire.
And they came pouring down the middle, and yeah, Frugo, we talked about it, was all of the sudden in the middle out there, just getting surrounded, and the damage reflects that.
Yeah, only the one shot from the team captain of W, but completely bamboozled there, really. And Kano, in the end, didn't really do much damage in his 1-1B, but he did survive for at least the majority of the brawl, so I suspect he has a pretty sizable amount of assisting damage via the Inspire ability. The all-important Inspire ability just makes your entire team better.
Yeah, the Inspire is super important in fights like that, just to give those E4s that have a downside of no DPM, a DPM boost as well, which is of course something W didn't have. They had the bat shot, and to be honest, the bat shot needs to find those clips consistently over and over to be super impactful, and he wasn't in this game.
And I think the difficulty from his point of view is that it was hard for him to focus onto one individual target because no one else from the rest of his team was necessarily engaged in the same fight that he was. It was all just individual brawls going on across the map. We saw Itox just kind of left to his own devices in that 1v1 versus the E4. No one, well, at that point, no one was alive to help him out any further in that game. But I think ultimately, probably a good move from Weekend to go for that push, because
very
it felt
brave,
like
though.
It's you know, you got to be brave to win the match. But I think literally just before the push came in, Mentos found an angle on towards IZ and started resetting the cap, and that really would have been bad if Weekend just backed off and were passive at that point.
But Weekend looking very good though, Moff, and W looking a bit nervous in a way.
It's very scrappy. It's a very scrappy game, and definitely not the all-powerful dominant force that we've seen in the recent tournaments. But you know, that's what happens when you're put under pressure by a worthy opponent.
Yeah, and they have the added pressure of what's at stake here, right? So that seems to be working against them a little bit, but oof, that's a lot of mouses.
Oi. This is why I love the the current meta in Onslaught is that I would say there is almost no meta, because there's such a variance in different ways that teams like to play all the different maps. There's so many different tanks that can become viable to an extent. Like, yes, broadly speaking, there's still like meta tanks and preferred picks, but there's just so many different ways that these teams like to play the maps now.
Sure, but there's like 3 or 4 meta tanks per map, you know, that can be played, which is more than the usual one. Weekend's lineup, the BZs will struggle against these mouses.
They definitely will, and that is a lot of HP. But don't forget, the BZ, it's a pretty healthy tank in its own right. 3.7k HP, just 600 less than the Mighty Mouse. That's always something that's worth paying attention to. I feel like the BZ, in terms of HP, always gets kind of slept upon, and it's one of the aspects of the tank that, even though it's not the greatest experience to play as an individual, it's a very good team player tank. And they are going for another one of those trademark pushes that we've seen from them in the Swiss stage. Are W prepared for it this time? Itox in the back has a very awkward position.
I mean, this immediately is so good
Big
for
strike.
W. Trash Panda down towards 700 HP. Where are these BCs going to go for? Sunshine goes straight into Nepal. The face butts into that tank. They need to find Klurf here in that E4. This push right now looking rather desperate for the side of Weekend. They do find the first kill, but look at the HP. They're down 6,000 at this moment in time. Sunshine trying to push past, trying to stay alive, but these mouses are just reigning supreme as Squeezy finds Sunshine. The rest of the Weekend lineup trying to pick up the pieces. They do find Frugo, and the HP is getting closer. Kano coming in as well with that 1-1B. They're trying, and who knows what could be possible, but it will be very, very difficult.
Yeah, and don't forget, those Mouse, they have a lot of HP, but they are prime and ready to be milked by the Weekend team, and they could potentially claw it back if they focus out the relevant guns. Squeezy's getting pressured in the 1v2 by Clownzig and Kano. Kano, again, a very important key factor here, as is Yoz in his bat chat, because once he goes down, it's just going to be the Mouse left alone, but they're creating a Mouse sandwich with Vladislav. He's got nowhere left to go, but they finally managed to clean up Squeezy into the 3v3. Itox still on basically full HP. Kano, he's got to just run rings around them to try and survive here. It's going to be very, very difficult. Itox trying to rotate his gun, but he cannot manage to get the shot in. Kano manages to survive for a little while longer.
Cloudsic, if you could ram Ios to dead would be amazing, but he's just going to go for the shot instead. But now it's double Mouses.
7,000 HP.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I'd say it's impossible.
It is very much impossible, because Clownzig, he cannot escape. He may be a rocket boost BZ75, but he's all out of gas, and it's just Kano left in the 1v2, and he does have a lot of DPM, but not that much.
Yeah, no, it's even for a 1-1B, it's pretty impossible. W was very ready for this push though this time around. That first BZ basically died instantly. It came pretty close at some point, but it was always going to be very, very tough for them to bring this one across the finish line.
Yeah, trying to bring it back, trying to overhaul that massive disadvantage from the initial barrage that you took. And you can't help but wonder, the positioning from W, it's very much a sign of intent that they were ready for this kind of setup. You saw Itox all the way in the back in the Mouse. Just, that's not a position that you normally find yourself in at the start of the round. And the damage shows at the end. Those Mouse. Kano did what he could. 5.7 in that 1-2-1B is not too shabby, but of course the further you go down the leaderboard, the teammates were not able to get the damage out.
No, and, you know, you see the BZs, you know, we talked about them being very healthy, but they do struggle with the pure DPM aspect. Yeah, and Apollo and Itox, it's like when you're a Mouse player in this kind of game, and you're the last one left, yeah, you're just driving and shooting.
Just drive and vibe, you know, no one's paying attention to you, and you have a plethora of targets, a target-rich environment to just keep shooting away.
Well, that's Ensk done, Moff. We're going into Pilsen.
Yeah, it's 3-3, and this is great. We're just whittling off the maps. We've got 2 left, potentially. It could be closed out here on Pilsen by one of the 2 teams, if they manage to take it 2-0, but the way it's gone blow for blow so far, you can't help but feel that we're going to be going towards that tiebreaker.
Yeah, I don't think either of the 2 teams is really just ahead right now. but I think it's also, you know, I feel like W has like the more pressure here, to be honest.
Yeah, you keep emphasizing that, and to an extent, I agree. It's difficult for Weekend to see, even if they get into that grand final, it's difficult for them to see how they manage to get to China for obvious reasons. But do you think that plays to their advantage, that they, because of those external factors, they don't feel the pressure of it being such an important game to get to the
they should be playing a lot more stress-free, to be honest. I feel like W can definitely tell a little bit, they're a bit more cautious now. You know, like, don't want to make mistakes.
You're the one, you know, you dethroned the previous kings of Onslaught in Cashback, and now Heavy is the crown, right?
True. Pilsen, though, what are we expecting? W and Pilsen doesn't make me feel too confident, but just a feeling.
I'm trying to remember now. It feels like the I think, was it W? I think a lot of teams now are starting to play way more just split control across the map. They'll put like a 268 up on balcony, facing towards the field, and then they've both got one light tank, an RHM, sometimes an EBR, of course, as well, and then a couple of E4s and all that. It doesn't seem like teams are really interested in going for the direct push as much as they used to. It's still very much a possibility, of course.
I mean, the 268 on balcony does feel kind of standard, yeah. Sometimes even with like a K91 behind, right? And like K1 or A1 to cover against that cap as well.
Oh, sorry, I just remembered, my brain is working away in the background. I remembered Weekend at one point in the qualification, they actually tried to play W's namesake, Rat Tactic. They tried to play it on this map. It doesn't look like we're going to get that, but I just thought I would just deliver that information.
The Kings of the Rats, but interesting choices here from W, right? EBR, E4, 268 for 30U, K91, Batshot and a mouse, but Weekend a little bit more straightforward. Double BZ, triple mouse, and double T57. And we gotta say the one thing, though, for Weekend is at least they will not be spotted initially, because the fact there is an EBR and no plane, of course.
Yeah, that is a good point. I guess it depends how risky Yoz wants to be in that EBR, because of course he doesn't know that he could essentially just drive down the middle of the map right now and grab the early info for the round. But a very beefy lineup from Weekend with the double BZ, triple mouse. Double T57 heavy is not as popular as it once was since the ability has been nerfed, and look at Yoz just going as deep as he dares in towards the field side of the map, and he's cleared it out entirely at the start of the round. Frugo has full info.
Yeah, for Weekend, I mean, Trash Panda might be able to take the strike, but Yoss is already very deep with that EBR, though. iSet now coming inside of the factory, which is pretty standard, and now they're aggressing towards the cap.
They are, but look at how passive W are. Look at how passive they are. They've got the K91, Nepal all the way in the back. Itox and his mouse is sitting in H2. Mentos is trying to get himself into a nice passive position as well. And these T57 heavies, there's not really anything to push into.
Well, they're going to have to keep going either way, though. Mentos now getting spotted back out again. The K91 starting to farm as well on towards the sides of Evil and Clownsic Sunshine. Now boosting into them with the BZ. Kano, Hellrap coming as well. And the HP, it's bleeding for Weekend. They were up 5,000 because of the tank choices they had. There's about 2,000 left of that right now.
Yeah, this has to be the recovery. This has to be where they make their shots count in those T57 heavies. Itox could be about to get blown up. Kano does a good clip in his T57 heavy, but Itox still has almost 3,000 HP remaining. Nepal has been found in the K1 pocket. That means Weekend, they need to focus all of their guns on towards the corner of that map. Otherwise, Sunshine will go down, and Nepal may actually end up having a wreckage to try and protect himself, try and shield himself. The shots come in, but it's very...
No, Sunshine's got it. I think he got it because of the ammo rack as well. He does find Nepal. He will even go D-spotted in that BZ75 Hellrap. Ooh, Cliff comes in with the strike, though, to pick it up. Kano now needs to help Hellrap against Itox. The HP is even, but that Itox actually bounces a shot, I think, even against that T57 heavy.
Yeah, Kano's going in for the reclip now in his T57, but he's got to make all 4 count. If he bounces one, he's going to be in some serious trouble. Can he connect the last shell? He's taking his time. He doesn't manage to connect it, and that's a disaster. That's terrible. That means Itox is going to live for just a little while longer and be able to put out another shot. He's going to help Yoz kill them in the 1v1, and he's going to heal his EBR to go with that. That is not good from Kano.
And even then, on top of it, there was another thing as well. There was a bounce from Clownzik with that mouse, and Kano bounces one as well. He does find it still on towards the EBR. All of a sudden, somehow, they do find success. Now, Trashpan and Eyestead marching across against Squeezy. Evil finds a shot against Mentos, but will fall in return. Itox healing up in the meantime. That one bounce really paying dividend there for that mouse. Clownzik looking for the pen. Finds it as well, but he still has a lot to deal with.
He does have a lot to deal with, and Itox will survive for just a little while longer. He's going to make it as tough as he possibly can to prevent Clownzik from getting that kill, but he does eventually fall into the 3 versus 2. But look at what is left of this weekend lineup. They pushed in, they went aggressive, and they paid the price heavily. Mentos alive is able to potentially do a shot to Clownzik here, and he does. Clownzik, the only one left in a 1 versus 3.
And it's going to be W to take match point in the first match of Pilsen. Was close at some point.
It almost paid off, but it's very high risk and high reward, and that's the price that you pay sometimes to do such a bull push straight through into your opponent. Sunshine just did not care, just rocket boosted straight into the K line to deal with that K91. And if things worked out just a little bit differently, maybe Weekend could have won that round. But even then, you've still got that full HP 268. I don't doubt that when we look at the results screen afterwards, that the 268 probably has quite a bit of damage.
Actually, Itox doing the most there, 7k damage in that mouse, which will also show on the other end of the table the downside. One of those 57s really not getting out nearly enough in this.
Yeah, it's honestly one of the worst situations that you could be in when you're in an autoloader and you only have a finite number of shots and you're at those pressure moments to make them count. You can see Hellrap, he bounced 50% of his shells, and that does add up, right? Itox was able to survive for way longer than he should have done.
Yeah, that mouse survived far longer than he should have in this regard. And, if Hellrap shoots a little bit better, then, Kano potentially doesn't need to hit all 4 to kill him. Then, there's a lot of what-ifs, right?
Mm-hmm. I think you could look at it 2 ways. You could look at it as, oh no, we should have won that. We bounced shots we shouldn't have. On the other hand, the strat wasn't necessarily bad. It's just you just didn't hit the shots. So it's not like you got completely outplayed in that regard. Cat Cam making an appearance there. I'm not sure whose tail that is.
It's the female. It's Ash. They like running around on the desk, Moff, as you may know yourself as well. Always at the best timing.
I had the foresight to lock them out of the room. They weren't happy to leave though.
You see, I'm not that cruel, Moff. You see, I let them live their life as they want to. But this strat here from Weekend, this push, it's a bit too one-dimensional, no?
You think it's too much of an all-in, just way too committed? I mean, the bleed initially on the mouse, they do have a lot of HP for a reason, but they were probably down to what, like 1/3 of their HP before anything else happened in the round. I mean, to be fair as well, it's also made way more difficult by the way that W was set up for it, right? No, your prediction isn't on. I'm sorry to break that to you. I'm not gonna say anything more on that because we know how the prediction games go for me historically. But at the moment, Key, me, and Phil still on for a correct score if W close it out here.
Yeah, it's indeed a possibility. You guys could be very, very happy, right?
we'll just wait and see.
You could also be completely wrong. So
we could also be completely wrong. That is very much true. Weekend could quite possibly claw this all the way back and win in tiebreaker. The way their lineup is shaping up right now, though, I think we're probably going to be in for more of the same.
For both teams, so this time around, I mean, double 57, triple E4, double mouse for Weekend, versus BZ268 and 5 E4s for W.
That is a lot of E4s. And it's not really renowned for being a pushing tank, so you would expect that W's going to be a lot more passive, just holding angles. But no light tanks from either team, no mediums from either team either. It's quite strange.
It's going to be some sort of a 1-2 ordeal between both of these, I guess.
Yeah, but look at where the IS-7's going. The second IS-7, rather, from Weekend. He's going on an adventure on his own. Sunshine going over towards the coal piles, and Mentos is also going for a kind of a solo quest in the BZ. So very, very interesting openings from both of these teams. They're probably just going to hold up in the factory area and just kind of feel out the positions on the eastern side of the map.
You see Trash Panda there. He wanted to go into the cap, but then it's like,
yeah, the call came in probably. Maybe we don't go in just yet. It's mid-strike though for iTox, and that's going to be for free, which is nice, I suppose. Trash Panda has decided, he's made a decision, he has gone in towards that cap, so it should be known by W that he's going to be very well supported by the rest of his team. Good shot by Squeezy in towards Vladislav. No ability for Vladislav as well, so that's going to be the full damage here. Double cap now being started, so more pressure being applied. The double T57 Heavy are making their way through the factory area as well, and W are going to be on the clock here, but of course iTox collected that strike in mid for free right at the beginning, which should stop the cap.
27 seconds though. It will only stop it once, Moff, you know, like it will stop it once, but not the second time. You can see Vladislav now arriving as well in that E4. They're gonna split up on the cap even as well. There should be only one reset for iTox at best, and he's on reload now as well. 5 seconds left. The second strike has been taken. Vladislav needs to go forward to dodge that one. He does. It's only Trash Panda back down towards 18. They don't have a strike to decap Mentos, but look at Sunshine. He's coming in. Can he get it on time? I think he did. Sunshine did reset the strike on the eastern side with the IS-7. Now iTox taking a lot of damage as well. Squeezy started to come in with that E4. He gets spotted out. He will have to body block. The 57's in the meantime on reload as well, and Squeezy blocking Vladislav, I-Set and Trash Panda now realizing what is happening, are starting to peek out, are starting to push out even on towards Squeezy. Frugo out in the open, trying to run away even. Sunshine will probably fall on the east because he's getting repushed by that 268, but we can do something in the middle of the map and return. Squeezy should be the target here. Vladislav, Hellrap, they're all coming back in. Frugo now also taking another big one in his own E4, and iTox now surrounded by the wolves from Weekend, who smell a tiebreaker looming around the corner. As one more shot will put him down. Vladislav on a mere one shot, still alive. The strike coming in, picks it up. Clownsick taking a lot of damage as well, and it's not all over just yet for either side.
Yeah, but W is so spread out across the map. If Weekend can group up and push onto an isolated target, they might find the kill. Trash Panda will find Frugo, but Frugo just hits the drive-by and just activates ability. He keeps on trucking to get away and stall out for as long as he possibly can. There's two teammates, a 268 on the opposite side of the map. Yoz in the back lines as well. They look like they want to go on towards Clove. IZ pushing in, but Frugo again putting in another good crossfire shot. He will fall, but for his sake, he's hoping that that shot is going to help his teammates to survive for just a bit longer. Now Yoz finds the kill on towards Kano as well. IZ is now committed in this position. He's not quite ready. The rest of his team isn't ready to support him in this situation. And Yoz is surely going to find the kill. No ability.
No ability and nothing left either. Weekend falling apart in the end game scenario. They're leaving the factory, having to get out of it, getting shot down from the angles. Trash Panda even bouncing that shot, and for W it will be a very, very happy moment, as with the final kill coming up on Clownsick, they will lock themselves in for WCI 2025.
Yeah, and that is massive for them. Going to be taking that trip over to China on the other side of the world. Jackifer with the final kill. Sometimes you just have to win scrappy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought honestly when Itex was getting repushed in the middle, it's at the GG, but no such thing.
Yeah, we should definitely have a look at what happened on the opposite side of the map. Sunshine, I think he did the sacrifice play where you essentially just torpedo in.
Didn't that bad either, I think.
Yeah, to stop your opponent from getting the strike, and maybe that could have been handled slightly differently. I don't know. There's so many different aspects to this as to what Weekend could have done.
Look at Sunshine. He did 3.5k, so 3.4k.
Yeah, so maybe not the area to lay blame. If you're looking at who is at fault here, maybe that falls on towards Clanzig doing 874. The T57s from Weekend,
2 rounds.
They've not had a good day. They've not had a good day.
No, neither of the rounds there on Pilsen, the 57s getting out too much. Which, you know, if you look at the W side in return, they don't have a single person not hitting at least 2k. So, yeah, that's pretty impactful.
And that's why I don't like the T57 as much in this meta. It just puts too much pressure on the individual to actually make their clip, whereas an E4 it's just way more comfy to play, and it's way easier to get out the easy 750 shots of damage. But that's that. What's done is done. W into that grand final, locking themselves into WCI China. Weekend, they put up a great fight, and it's definitely promising signs for them to come.
Oh, for sure, they put up a really good showing, but falling just a little short. Now we have still another banger up for grabs, which is Hit and Run versus Mafia. And for those of you that do not know, this was the decision match last time around as well for who got to go to China. It will be one of those this time around as well. Hit and Run won it in tiebreaker this last time. Maybe we are in for something similar from them. It will be probably pretty close. Moff, before we head to replays, what did you predict?
5-3 Hit and Run.
5-3 Hit and Run. I think I predicted for Mafia. We will see which one of the two will make it to WCI 2025 after the replays.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the AMD Onslaught Legends Cup number 4. And, well, what a banger we just had. Hello there, Theo. How are you doing? But we are back into yet another best of 9. And to be honest, the best of 9 we just saw, it was an absolute cracker in between W and Weekend. W probably extremely happy to have their WCI tickets now. However, Hit and Mafia, they have in the past played a best of 9 against each other already. That was last year. That was the match for WCI as well. And as fate wants it, Ducky, they're going at it again.
Yeah, indeed. It was nice to have 2 dogs on screen instead of 1 for once, Kian, you know?
You don't need to call yourself that.
Listen, if your boss calls you that, I don't know how you can recover from it, you know? Anyways, yeah, this is a rematch, kind of, in a way. However, silver lining that whoever loses this still has a chance, though.
Absolutely. We have to keep back in mind that there is still the wildcard qualifier coming up later in the year. So whichever one of those 2 teams here doesn't make it should have a shot. But, of course, you know, you'd rather take the tickets now than have the possibility at them later. Last time around, it went to a tiebreaker on Airfield. It was an absolutely legendary best of 9 between both of those teams, with the better end for Hit and Run, and they also went on to win WCI, and recently it feels like Hit always kind of have the edge just about, just like in the community prediction. 51 to 49%. Honestly, I think they're evenly matched.
I agree, especially because yesterday's match from Hit and Run was not really... It wasn't really very convincing, you know?
No, and meanwhile Mafia looked very, very stable, calm, and controlled. They looked like they were absolutely prepared and ready to go at it, but realistically, like, the coming 60, maybe 90 minutes are going to determine a lot for those 2 coming teams. Monster, the team captain for Hit here, recently picked up playing the RHM a lot, and in the past we questioned how well Hit were going to do after, for example, Mentos left to W, but for now it doesn't seem to have hurt them too much. Monster really stepping up not only as a team captain, but as the LT player as well.
Yeah, it's... I mean, you know, now he probably gets to chill it out a little bit more, you know? And focus on just playing the light. In return, we have Profuse as a highlight for Mafia. Very solid player as well. Always, never really super standout, but always solid.
Exactly, and that's kind of what you need on your team as well, right? You don't only need those superstar players that bait the own team, you also need those constant, solid performers that are there and step up when needed, and Profuse definitely is one of those. 3.5k DPG, definitely on the higher side as well. So let's see what we have here for our best of 9. Himmelsdorf and Westfield getting banned out. So, I mean, before the tournament, we'd probably have said Westfield kind of one of those very quick maps, but after yesterday, not so sure anymore. Maybe the meta has completely shifted on it. We're going to start on Studzianki, and we are going to go to Sand River.
It's a very slow matchup, actually, in a way. Studzianki, Sand River, Moro, and Pilsen. We will not be getting the super quick fights here, in my opinion.
And all things said and done, all things considered, that might even favor Mafia, because if we took a look at the match yesterday as well against Aurora and how they played in the Swiss stage, Mafia is a team that very much likes playing control, and also the tiebreaker, Ghost Town, yes, you can cap rush it, but most teams nowadays prefer actually playing control, and we saw yesterday that teams that still try and play it quick, like, for example, Rage, it doesn't go too well for them.
No, so I mean, I guess for Mafia, I think this is a pretty good set of maps. They get to play the slower, more drawn-on game, which again I think for them is what they're looking for.
Well, on the other hand, Hit, they are definitely a force to be reckoned with. They have won the past few matchups, at least when it mattered, against Mafia. Most of the times in tiebreakers, somehow between both of those teams, it always went that way. So let's see what we are going to do today. In between a matchup of Polish teams, it has to be said as well, it's always super volatile, and the fact of the matter remains that both of them being Polish, they probably train against each other, so a lot of the tactics that you use in the scrims and the trainings, they completely go out the window. You don't want to play something against an opponent that you've shown in the past.
So, we are headed into Zdzianki. This is the map where you could still play pretty aggro though if you want to.
Yeah, we did see yesterday as well that teams still haven't completely given up on that playstyle. Juggernaut TDs into the factory there and just immediate all-out aggression. Maybe force a team that want to play control to come close. Predictions also, we should highlight that I think, yeah, the past matchup, we were all kind of on the W hype train this time around. You're going with the way of Mafia. Personally, I hope for it to go to tiebreaker, and then I don't really care. I just want to have a damn good match. Moff and Phil, however, saying Hit 5-3.
Yeah, but we're split across here. I think Mafia will finally... Oh my god.
All right.
That's double can opener, triple Grilla, an RHM, and a T100.
And for Mafia, it looks way more standard, to be honest. Batchat, CS63, Centurion, and quadruple E4. But Ducky hit and run. Definitely, they're stirring the pot. They're trying to cook something up.
They're definitely trying to cook something. That one is for sure.
I mean, the double light as well, double plane LT to Ketsai. We know that in the past he has been one of those T100 LT enjoyers. He's the only one to pop his plane as well, and that means 5 tanks getting spotted, hit and run already with a lot of information. They see all of those E4s driving towards the factories, and this gives hit and run a lot of information to work with. As T-Sec, not sure if he got reset, but Profuse definitely knows. He's playing against plane LT that has a replane, and the other one didn't even use it yet. Ketsai already 2 charges.
So far, so good for hit and run. I mean, they're just playing the long, very long away game with those gorillas. So funny seeing the 3 of them on 0 line. There's an A. Profuse trying to take that again. T-Sec uses the plane. Profuse realizes this. Now, the question is, does he realize the secondary plane?
Not sure he does yet. Yuzik, though, he has picked up a strike. So whatever hit and run do, trying to pick up neutral points, Mafia should be able to reset that. And now the Cano, I can understand the position for him. He's going to be hull down. He's going to be chilling a lot. He sees YOLO, though, on the cross. Good one shot in towards the crossing E4. However, he does take one by Yuzik in return, and that's CS63, so needs to be careful. There's a lot of angles now starting to mount, and yes, frontally the Cano turret is very good, but when you get flanked, not so good anymore.
I think Mafia is on a timer here, because they're going to get repushed in the south, even if it's Guerrillas repushing. Once they start losing that part of the map, it will be almost impossible for them to take it back.
For now, Ketsai starting to go in the T100. I mean, we should also mention that the T100 does actually have more base camo, I think, than the RHM. So for those kind of spots where it's pretty close towards the enemy, especially with a low noise exhaust, he should be able to outspot the Batchat 100%. But for now, the angles work in favor of the Batchat. Though Mafia, I think they realize they're on timer. Hit and run are doing something weird. So Mafia starting to do something, sending Konrad into the strike, Barkis and Orzhek into the cap.
And this is good. I think they're sniffing it out that there's something really weird happening. Ketsai getting spotted out by Kono as well. Takes a shot immediately. Takes the second one as well. Good positioning from Kono. Might even give him 3, to be honest. No third shot there. But the cap now, you know, they don't have any south control yet from hit and run.
And that is quite problematic for the team of Hit here. 23 seconds remaining, and well, if you invest so heavily in can openers and grillers, there are of course no strikes available for your team. They weren't able to really pick one of those up. Orzhek though taking a big one, and the second griller hitting as well. That's 2k into the faces of those E4s that didn't have ability active.
Yeah, now Barkis and Orzhek, they want to back off, but they've taken shots from the can opener from that, and another griller. This time, Monster clapping Orzhek, and just like that, the HP deficit is gone.
The HP deficit, yeah, it has been made up by Hit, and now Orzhek, of course, is down to a one-shot. Probably even if he activates the ability, the Griller kind of counters that with the ability of its own. A plane now going down onto the cap. Profuse starting to take a strike, but that's not going to remedy the situation here. Currently, the E4 is trying to stay safe. Franek bouncing the shot on towards YOLO, though, that realizes he cannot go into the cap. 6 seconds remaining. Someone needs to get a reset. YOLO joining as well. 1 second, another reset, but this tank doesn't have cap points, and Mafia cap it out. Pants Fury gets blown away.
Oh, hit and run, letting it slide out. They're missing the angle where DJ is now for somebody to get a reset or the can opener to react a little bit quicker to get in position, and just like that, Mafia steal it away. This is a steal.
That is a robbery in broad daylight, and they end up getting away with it. And yeah, I think if the Grillers get one more salvo into the opponents, then definitely this goes Hit's way. But the fact that the Cano had to commit close, had no cover whatsoever anymore, and completely got demolished, that makes you end up with something like this. And, well, not a lot of damage, to be honest, but I don't think Mafia care, truly.
They shouldn't. I mean, the win is the win, right? Especially in a round where they realize that, uh-oh, there's triple Grilla.
Yeah, and for Hit, I mean, this match kind of starts like the other one. A team gets a win, and the other team probably must be kicking themselves a little bit, like, hey, this should have been our round, definitely. But, well, it wasn't.
It was not to be. And Mafia, you know, like I said, they're very happy about that, because honestly, if there's a singular reset coming out, it would be pretty tough. So it doesn't work out for the side of Hit and Run. And, you know, when you are in the kitchen and the cooking fails this badly, it's a bit annoying.
It's a bit annoying, but then again, it's not the end of the world. This is a best of 9, and that was only the first round. Then again, for a team like Hit, I think in the past they've been quite ingenious with strategies as well. For example, back when different maps were in the pool, El Haluf, for example, Hit and Run were the first team to just pull a 13-105 out of the hat, and they won with that one, and everyone was like, well, what the hell did we just see? So whenever Hit and Run bring one of those lineups, normally they assume they're going to win the round, so this must be a huge blow to their morale.
I mean, it would be a huge blow to my morale when, you know, like, you're like chilling, you're hitting a few shots, you're like, it's gonna be good. All of a sudden you get capped out. That's the downside of not having like anything with a kind of mini strike though. Also, anything with like a mini strike there, and it's like amazing.
Gaining the mini strike was a nerf, but I mean, still, if you hit like a couple shots in your sniper medium, then you are able to actually deliver those resets, and those are the ones that Hit would have needed. Talking about Hit and Mafia, there was actually a player change. Rexa switching over from Hit to Mafia. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think he was playing in the past game, so currently warming the bench for the team, but probably cheering them on regardless.
I mean, you'd hope so, right? Maybe he felt like he had more playing opportunities in Mafia. It's always possible as well. Maybe it's an opportunity for you as well, Kian.
What are you implying?
Nothing.
As always, nothing.
I'm merely saying.
Just saying what I see. Saying what I see. I see how it is. But yeah, that was the first game of Studzianki. Let's go into the second one. So far, nothing's lost for either team. Mafia must be very happy with how the first round went. Let's see if they're able to convert the second one. We do go into the lineups. Hit, they are bringing triple BZ75, an E100, double T57, and a 121B.
In return, there is no Inspired tank for Mafia. There's double BZ, an I7, an AX, and triple E4. So no light tanks across the board. We might see a fight for the mid-strike though.
Well, the Centurion does help with the Inspire regardless, but all in all, I think both teams are wanting to go for a brawl here, and, well, the T57s pack a hell of a lot of punch, but to be honest, I think Mafia, with those E4s, are kind of able to mitigate the incoming damage a little bit, also with the Alpha. Like, it's always annoying with the T57 if you're not able to peek and freely get your clip out. Instead, you take like 750 or 1500 into the face in return, and those BZ75s should also be able to clap back with their Alpha. Now, however, though, double BZ from Hit. They go into the cap. They see the singular one by Mafia. Let's see if YOLO takes some damage for it. Good shot with the track as well. Able to retaliate into Monster, who goes down to 1k. Boosts away, but for how long? He's down to less than 100.
Yeah, it was as predicted, this fight for the middle strike with those BZs on both sides, and so far Mafia getting the better of it. Kono will pick off Monster. Click trying to boost away, does get behind a building, and the 57 starting to repush now as well. Hit and run coming back in, want to do something, want to find something even, but Ketsai in the 1-1B finds a face full of lead. Minus 2k on that one. Now the 57 starting to get pushed back as well. Profuse starting to duel against T-Sec. Conrad coming back in, wants to potentially go into the dip, get a crossfire angle on towards the hit and run tanks. Kono taking the strike as well. Click still a little bit annoying. Orchek in the meantime not having a good one either. Profuse should be beating T-Sec, even rams him a little bit to try and disrupt the aim, but it's blow for blow, but the blows are just hitting harder on the hit and run team.
Indeed, Mafia currently with more HP here. Let's see if the T57s can turn the tide of battle. DJ down towards one shot as Ketsa is able to pick up Orjek, however. So the guns right now also in favor of Mafia. Hit and run against the ropes here. They are being hit and they cannot run. Ketsai down to a one shot as well. Hit and run starting to run out of steam in round number 2 on Studzianki. T-Sec to the grave, followed by Ketsai.
Yeah, this is all over for the side of hit and run. It's 2-0 Mafia after Studzianki. What a beautiful start for them in this matchup as well. It was this fight for the mid-strike, Kian, kind of as predicted, with you know, the lineup for Mafia just being slightly better to deal with that.
Those E4s, man, I'm telling you, those E4s with their staying power, with their alpha, and the thing is, with the E4 frontally, you also need to aim. You cannot just right-click, left-click, you actually need to go for the weak spots, and even then, if you're like a T57 and you see an E4 with an active ability, you're like, I could, but I don't really want to, but maybe I have to.
I mean, after the initial damage, Mafia was always ahead, to be honest, and it's hard to come back from that point. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, it also felt like more guns were in the fight for Mafia immediately. The fact that Monster completely melted away in the BZ, tried then to go like boost into the ditch, but someone else was already waiting for him there as well. It just went from bad to worse, and once again, those T57s, yes, they are good tanks, and Onslaught definitely, but if you're not up close and personal, and instead you're fighting those tanks that really want to trade around the corners and you're not really able to close the distance, then they end up just not working out. Lineup for lineup, Mafia superior in round number 2, and they reward themselves with a clean performance on Studzianki.
And, I mean, you know, if you're Mafia right now, you're like, well, we stole the first one, but the second one was definitely ours. So they're heading into Sand River with a 2-0 scoreline. And picking up one round on River is not unrealistic, so they're really putting themselves in a really good spot for this match.
And you could really see why Hit were picking Studzianki, right? Those triple Grille, this strat, they thought they had it in the bag. So they were like, okay, we at least get one round on Studzi, maybe 2, that's cool. Then into Sand River, that's normally considered to be a 1-1 map. So after 2 maps, the worst thing that could happen would be a 2-2. Turns out, Mafia already has 2 points after 1 map.
Yeah, and you know, like the maps that are coming next, Sand River definitely a 1-1 potential. Muro kind of as well. Pilsen kind of as well. So Hit and Run has to find something on one of these maps where they're going to win out 2-0.
And the problem for Hit is that the maps that are coming up in this best of 9, the way that the pick ban order is shaped is both of those were picked by Mafia. So now we're going into the territory where Mafia should be feeling definitely more comfortable than Hit. Then again, I think if there is one team that is very known for dropping their own map and then picking up the opponents, it's also the one with the purple logo.
For sure, and you can never count out Hit and Run either. So, you know, there's that. They're going to be giving it their best. Yeah, okay.
I mean, how many rounds has Mafia played on Sand River is the question here. If it's one, then, well, they lost that game. Oh, okay, production with the clutch. It is 2 rounds and they lost both.
Yeah, okay. Not that impactful, yeah?
Yeah. And another voice in my ear whispering, they lost that against W. But here, round number 3 now hit. They're still looking for their first point in the match. Triple BZ, MVY, 2277, and Fronic in the UDES.
In return, Profus in the UDES, Orchek for 30U, Kono CS, Yuzakai 7, and the Triple BZ. Both of these lineups can be, again, very, very quick into the fight.
Absolutely. It looks like both teams just dropping the gloves altogether. We saw a lot of very delicate play in between Weekend and W. I think here it's just about a boxing match, and the rink has been shrunk by half.
I'm just curious to see initially where both teams are heading. It's roughly the same, you know? 2 tanks Crown, 5 tanks K-Line.
Well, in between the tanks going K-Line, who would you favor? I mean, Hit definitely have the DPM advantage, maybe also the hold-down advantage with that MBY, but the info advantage is on Mafia's side. Kono with the CS was able to get a lot of info on towards the tanks that are crossing currently. No punishment coming in from the UDES that's sitting in middle for Mafia. Profus, he would love to get a shot of damage or 2 to be able to get that Inspire going. Yuzek is committed in towards the artillery strike with his IS-7, and that one would be hitting hard on the heavy tanks by Hit. This is why they're splitting off the double BZ.
Yuzek in this strike will take it in time. Hits now coming. Ketsai from the middle. Tisek, DJ, they're all pushing in up and over. Here we go. Tisek, Ketsai, DJ. One of them definitely did not hit their shot, and the damage taken so far is significant. Yeah, you have this 430U and this UDES currently out of the fight as well, but is it really going to matter that much? The strike now coming in from Yuzek as well, hitting home on towards 2 more targets. Tisek down towards a 1 shot already. He does find the kill on Yuzek. Yolo wants to retaliate, but instead is going to have to shoot on towards one of the close targets. He does get a lot in return. The 430U in the meantime chasing down Fronic. They want to eliminate the Inspire as a hit and run coming now for the second wave. Watching over these close tanks again. Conrad finds Tisek though. Yolo pushing forward. They want to get Ketsai in that BZ. Good shooting from the Mafia side. Picking up that one as in the meantime the 430U making short work of the UDES, and the HP tells its own story. It's currently not looking that good for Hit and Run.
It's currently not looking that good for Hit and Run. Then again, Mafia still have a tank very, very close towards the tanks of Hit and Run. Barkis just barely makes it in towards the next ditch. X marks the spot, boosts away. Another shot whizzes past him. Barkis will get to reload. Conrad coming in with the shield. And the tanks by Mafia, they're still also sitting in the crown. Continuous DPM from Profus. Probably as well. DJ with the overpeak doesn't get the kill on towards Barkis. He's gonna stay alive. And Mafia, they're looking to take the third round in a row actually here. The reigning still WCI champion is getting schooled.
Yeah, so far so good for Mafia, mirroring the strat from Hit and Run in a way. Initial start the same, have the tanks in position, but most importantly they find the shots. They do not miss almost anything in that regard, which is hyper important in this kind of pressure. And it's 3-0 after our first round of Sun River, and it's starting to look a little tough for Hit and Run.
And how the turns have tabled, right? We were staring at this set of maps and we were like, okay, we're probably in for the long haul here. No, not in between those 2 teams. At least not currently here. And I think at least if you're Hit and Run, you might want to think about switching up the style a little bit, because clearly throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at their Polish brothers of Mafia so far hasn't been working.
No, it has not been working indeed. And Kono has a really, really good game there in that CS, actually. Brilliant shooting as well.
Yeah, that CS definitely has a lot of DPM as well, together with the strike, where it can just be everywhere. It's kind of global ability. You can just support wherever it's needed, provided, of course, you hit that baby strike. And, well, for the team of Hit, just the engagement that they were getting just wasn't the one that they wanted to have, because realistically, which tank were they driving into? It was mostly the IS-7. First of all, it's not that great to penetrate the IS-7 frontally with the BZ-75, especially at range. And while they were doing that, they were just getting peppered all over by the entire team of Mafia. And you could see Orzek also 5.2k and 3 kills to his name. That this means that both of those mediums by Mafia that weren't really in the fight, at least physically, were there contributing.
Yeah, and then the 430U also, you know, just ran down the Udest, of course, which, you know, for Franek, getting pushed by a 430U is always going to be very, very difficult to deal with.
And now, I mean, after the 2-0, I kind of was like, okay, well, Hit loses their own map. Now they're going to get the opponent's map 2-0, and then, well, everything is going to be set back to normal. The first part of that didn't manifest. Mafia taking the third map in a row. And as I said, I think for Hit, it is time to rethink the strategies that so far they have been employing, because clearly it hasn't been working. Maybe it's time to improvise.
I mean, now would be the time, right, Kian, to start bringing it back, because 4-0 would be very, very hard to recover from.
I think there have been comebacks from 0-4 to 5-4. But I think I researched it actually during the OLS Season 3 Finals. And the last time it happened was a semi-obscure matchup, like some qualification or a group stage match of the OLF Season 2 or something. So it is very unlikely. Anyway, Hit, now they're still looking for their first point, and the situation honestly is starting to get dire. Triple BZ-75, an MVY, double 277, and the Inspire medium of the Centurion Action X. Hit now or never.
Mafia sticking with the Udets, the K91, the W50M, and the Triple BZ still very, very aggressive, especially that W50M indicating some sort of a push, no?
Yeah, I think Hit are not really adjusting their playstyle here at all. They're switching it up a little bit, but Mafia, to be honest, are switching it up more. Double E50M, that is like double DPM medium, together with the K91 as well. Last round, we had the CS, this time it's the K91. The K91, even more DPM, but less brawling potential. But let's be honest, the CS63 didn't really need its brawling potential last round. So let's see, both teams, a lot of interest in the south once again, as Hit completely take the K-line, and Conrad sees some of them for now, not everyone.
He spots out 4, he's only missing T-Sec. Click is going to take the strike. Conrad probably will end up peeking this one way or another to reset, or it's going to be Orchek. And here comes Mafia though, immediately from the south side already. Yuzek, Yolo, Kono, they're coming back in. There will be a recommitment from Hit and Run, but the damage taken here is far less significant than what was happening in round number 1. Click will get dominated by Kono. Orchek with the second DPM tank coming in as well. And now the rest of them trying to find Yuzek, but that's a BZ that was already done what it's needed to do. Panzer Fury in return, that 277 dropped low as well, getting rammed as well. The E50M is the perfect tank for this scenario to pick up those one-shots together with the other DPM tanks as well. These BZs cannot sustain the amount of firepower currently in the game from Mafia. T-Sec is dead. DJ is not going to be doing much better in a second, and that DPM starting to hurt.
Admiral Akbar was right. It was a trap, and they cannot sustain this amount of firepower coming out of all of those DPM mediums. Monster, the next one to bite the dust here. And DJ is the next one on the chopping block. This yellow wall of Mafia tanks, it's just gonna keep rolling. Franek is going to see it coming, but he will not be able to stop the avalanche. Katsai finally with a second kill for Hit and Run, but Mafia, in what feels like not even 20 20 minutes in this best of 9 here immediately storm, pun intended, towards a match point.
Yeah, Hit and Run getting shook, man. Mafia just showing that they are really wanting to go to China. You know, they're like all very afraid of Yuzek. He said that if they don't make it, he's gonna cosplay last year China.
Oh, he's going to put a dent into the desk again. But yeah, Katsai, right now everything that can go wrong, it feels like, for Hit is going wrong, as Orzhek, even with the ram kill to add insult to injury here. And Mafia, after 2 maps against Hit, probably could not be happier. What a show that they're putting on here. The first round, to be honest, kind of lucky. And after this Hit, they seem absolutely stunned with no RT involved whatsoever. They are completely off the rails.
Absolutely fantastic stuff from Mafia. One more round and, they've locked in China. The thing they missed out narrowly last year doesn't seem to be a narrow miss this time around.
At least so far, right? At least so far. Hit, definitely a team that has demonstrated that when the pressure is on and they're up against match points, talking about last year China, by the way, then they are able to step up and bring it back. But so far, not gonna lie, it doesn't even seem that they're able to get a foot into the door. This absolutely tried and tested team of Hit and Run, they seem mentally and physically both not present.
I mean, they're getting rocked and rolled, and good stuff there on Mafia. They do the same as Hit and Run does, but just in a better kind of way, even with better tanks, I would say.
All right, and from Studzianki and Sandriver, it seems like the maps are going by in a bliss. We are going to go to Muravanka, and Muravanka already. Map number 3 here might also be the last map that we see in between Hit and Mafia.
Might be. I mean, I'm kind of expecting it to be. The only question to me is 5-0 or like 5-2.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, time and time we say it, like, getting to 4-0 sometimes seems easy for teams, but this last point, this last mental barrier to make it over the finish line and actually win the thing you want to win, that can be the hardest one. And then, palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, and then you start missing shots.
Yeah, for Hit and Run, this is a wake-up call, like, if they lose this in this kind of fashion, yeah, sure, they still have the last chance qualifier, but it's like...
And the thing is, Mafia already had this wake-up call, right? In the Swiss stage, because there, they met W, and they completely got rolled, like 5-0. It was... that TV show, Destroyed in Seconds? That's kind of what it looked like. And this time around, Mafia have taken that to heart, and they're doing that to Hit.
It's just surprising to see Mafia really, like, knock them out like this.
I mean, let's not hatch the egg before we catch the chicken. It's not all over yet, but that might be about to change. Hit up against the ropes. They're trying to fight off match points in a row for Mafia. And there's going to be a lot of them. Quadruple BZ for Hit, together with a 1-2-1 B and double Błyskawice.
In return, Mafia, Fosh B for 30U, AX, and 4 BZs.
Which lineup do you prefer in between both of those?
I don't like the amount of BZs on either side, though. I don't know, I almost would pick the Bliskas because of sustain, right? Like the Inspire tank on Hit and Run side will really hit max effectiveness, let's put it that way.
Well, let's see how this one goes. Both teams, of course, without a light tank. This means that currently both of the teams also with kind of a blind commitment. Orzhek with a Centurion is going to be the one to pick up the info tower, and this means info completely for the team of Mafia. Yuzek and YOLO don't really want to commit in here, I don't think. A little bit of miscommunication is what it looks like. Yuzek storms into the ditch, wants to storm to China, but he does go down towards 1200, but no interest into picking him up for the team of Hit and Run. Instead, they're trying to book it down the 4 line. They're trying to isolate the BZs in the middle of the map.
The Forteriu and the Fush B now coming in as well. You saw these BZs go towards the outside, but that allows Yuzek to continue living this whole time and start putting in shots as well. And immediately Panther Fury gets deleted. They get forced towards the 3-4 line, but that's where the rest of the Mafia team is waiting. The second one goes down. Now focusing back on towards Click, the last remaining BZ75 for Hit and Run. And Mafia, what a team today, ladies and gentlemen, as they are absolutely rocking and rolling. Click boosting, but will not boost too far. It's not over just yet, but it's a 5-on-4. Franek is also very, very far out of the game, and that Fush B is about 7 seconds away from reloading and showing Monster that, you know, he might be the one getting waited for. Kuro now pops the ability to start chasing down, and Mafia haven't won just yet. They still need to close it out, but it's Fush B time. Chasing down Monster, it's going to do a lot of damage as well. Kuro might be in a little bit too deep, but he does make his entire clip work at least. Now it's 4-on-3 though, with Hit and Run leading.
Juggernaut ability, though, pretty good. Makes Monster survive for a very long time in that Bliskowitz as YOLO goes down towards 520 HP. DJ might try to go forward to pick him up. Another shot by Franek here, but he does pick it up. Franek stays alive for now. Orzhik with the pickup, but now Hit and Run just have the HP to DPM it down as Barkis boosts into Franek, but he doesn't take a lot of damage. One shot by Monster is all that's going to be possibly required here. Franek to pick up Barkis, and now Monster is going to be reloaded. This is an unwinnable 1 versus 2 for Orzhik here, and you can see how sweaty the players of Hit are right now. The first shot by Franek even bouncing. Monster is trying to pick up the strike. Good shot in towards Orzhik, and Hit and Run say to the God of Death, not today.
Not today indeed. At Fush B, you know, he came off of reload, he started clapping, but
I mean, it was more of a paddling, right? It wasn't really a clapping.
I think he was clapping a little bit too hard, you know, like I think at some point it would have been best if he tried to get another reload out, because if he does, yeah, they want to get their, like Mafia, I think, just like I thought that they were really winning, and then they were going for it.
When they weren't picking up Yuzek, and they were just boosting past, and then all of a sudden, like, what felt like 5 players from Mafia were committing on towards those triple BZs, I was like, okay, yeah, it's over. This was a very quick best of 9, but, well, no, say Hit here. And, I mean, Orzhik, probably not to blame here. Pretty good shooting, pretty good damage, but overall, man, the decision-making by Hit, it looked so dicey, man. It looked so dicey, but they're able to make it work because the tanks that are getting focused in the end from Mafia turn out to be exactly those BZ75s and not the tanks that actually are able to put out the damage. And the thing is also Franek staying alive with that DPM medium that also inspires the whole team, together with Monster with, yeah, what can I say? A really good performance, almost 7k and 3 kills to his name. Yeah, great stuff from Hit, but is it too little too late is the question.
It could be. It could be, but at the same time, you know, let's not get super ahead of ourselves, but it would be a miracle for them to come back this much.
Yeah, I mean, that was Muravanka round number 1. We still have another one of those to go, and even if Hit picks up that one, they still need to pick up another map entirely before we can speak about them possibly, you know, claiming another spot for the WCI, where, remember, they are still the reigning champions back-to-back, but Mafia probably have something to make up for last year, and the first 4 rounds really looked like they came in swinging into this match. One round, it might be a fluke.
Sure. Well, they do it. I mean, I thought it was over when they ended up 3-4 line, you know, stuck on the outside.
Yeah,
but
me too.
No, honestly, it's like the Fush B drove in and kind of killed himself in the process, which is understandable. It's a high-pressure situation. Like, you want to you know, bring your team across the finish line, but in that regard, you want him to do his 6 shots, live, and if anything, draw away the 1-1B to get him to chase, or get the BZs focused instead. And then it's ideal for Kono because he will get another reload, and when he comes back in, he will put the nail in the coffin with the 6 shells.
Yeah. Also, I think maybe the ability by the Foch B, I wasn't entirely sure if it was maybe mistimed a little bit, because, well, he was getting blasted, while I think he was in the mobility part of his ability still. And normally, you know, you want to time it exactly right, that you take a lot of damage while you're in the mobility part, but then you want to heal up even more after that to make it annoying to shoot you, because you're probably an easy target, a sitting duck, but at the same time you're on a super long reload. You won't have anything to say in, let's say, the next 35 seconds, and the opponent's team then most likely want to focus someone else, and you can, you know, just block shots and be the most annoying little rascal ever. But yeah, he just blew up completely. So at that crucial moment in time, hit really with the perfect focus fire, but it might all be for naught, because as we can see here in the map video, once again there, and the last round doesn't change the fundamental facts that still Mafia, that have so far had a crazy good showing in this match, they just need one more slip up from Hit to make it to Suju.
Can they do it? Secondary question. This time around, Mafia, double BZ, Mouse, CS, Bliska, double Foch B.
And for Hit, we once again have the quadruple BZ75, the 1-1B, as well as the double Bliska. I think they're kind of going with the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They just repeat the lineup from last round, where Mafia do actually switch it around with that lot of burst, to be honest. Like the double Foch B, I think that's like 4,800 damage in the clip, assuming you don't shoot a Bliska with active ability. That is kind of menacing.
Yeah, everyone just going for the same thing as before. So it's this sustain, you know, like DPM versus this kind of burst that Mafia has.
Well, let's see initial splits. Mafia sending 2 tanks towards the middle and 5 tanks towards the 1, 2, and 3 line, where Hit are focusing a lot more on towards that middle part of the map. The 1-1B is immediately going to take the info tower. Do the Hit tanks want to commit here? I don't think they do. They don't even know yet that they're up against more tanks. Once again, like in Muro round number 1, Yusek takes a lot of damage, but like in round number 1, Hit get the hell out of there.
They're pushing towards the outside once more. This time around, they're focusing out Profuso in that CS63, that Hurricane already pretty low down towards the one shot. You can't currently see it. Orchek finds DJ as first one though. Yet again, they're re-pushing, but this time around, they're doing it with Foch Bs, who do remember that those tanks have a pretty long downtime. The moment they go on reload, they will be out of the fight for a while, but currently it's 5 on 4. But yet again, let's see, the Foch Bs have 20 seconds of not being involved. Ketsai gets Amarak, repairs it immediately. YOLO getting the shot in as well. These two BZs need to live for as long as possible, but YOLO will not be able to do that for too long as he gets round by Monster, picked up by Click. Now comes Kono and Barkis back into the fray though. Can they make the difference? Can they bring their team towards China? Kono arriving, starts clipping, Monster pushing forward to try and block. Barkis coming in now as well. The focus fire is not ideal. Ketsai gets tracked. Oh, that's what they want, that's what they need. Finding the first of those two Bliskavitzes, the DPM. Monster now out in the open as well. Barkis still has 3 shells available, should put him down, but the ram from Click keeps him in position while finishing Kono as well. Back into a 3-on-2, but Mafia currently leading.
Mafia indeed currently leading, and Bark is still 1 shot in the clip. He does the last one, but still it is a 2 versus 2 with the tanks that can actually fire right now. And I think Fronic realizes this. They are trying to commit on towards Orzik right now, but he has the ability active. Click trying to push through as well. Orzik down towards 900, and you can see what I was talking about with being an annoying little rascal. Barkis manages to turn around Fronic, who takes another shot by Orzik, goes down into the grave, and for Hit, it's only Click alive, but not for much longer, as Barkis is going to come off reload and is going to destroy the hopes and dreams of Hit and Run, at least for now, to make it to China immediately. Instead, Mafia get revenge for 2024.
Yeah, they're going to be very happy to lock in that spot towards WCI. Congratulations to Mafia. dominant performance across the board.
Absolutely. I mean, Muro 1 was the one round where Hit was able to kind of hold a candle to them, and also the first round that they kind of stole on Studzianki, but everything else, I mean, Mafia just rolling it. There is no two ways about it. So this means that for Hit, it's sort of going in towards the relegation now. It's going to be the wildcard tournament later this year, and here you can see the winners of this OLC number 4's semi-final number 2. It is the second European team that will be representing the European region in China. It is Mafia, and Orzhik, what a banger of a round by him. Almost 8k and 3 kills, 11, 11, 11. Absolutely pitch perfect.
Yeah, beautiful stuff there from Orzhik. Really good shooting. And, you know, again, going towards the outside, I think this time it was even more favored for Hit and Run, because they did find that CS63 refused so quickly.
Yeah. I think that the double Fush B for Mafia this time around, it just did a much better job of being annoying during their reloads, and also I think they kind of focused out the correct tanks while they were not on reload, and that means here we have the updated tournament bracket. So in the semifinals, it was a W earlier today in an absolute cracker of a match, advancing to the grand finals. And here in the second one, well, it was a quicker affair, 5-1. And this in turn means that as the last and final match of the day, we are going to have, well, almost a show match, you could say, in between W and Mafia, because those two teams already know that they have WCI safe, but they are still playing for a lot of prize pool. They are still also playing for the bonus prize pool, which are the AMD 9800 X3D Ryzen 7 CPUs sponsored. Thank you very much, AMD, of course. And W probably would love to pick up the third one of those in a row. Meanwhile, Mafia is still waiting to upgrade their systems.
I mean, I think winning more is always a better thing, you know. Like, sure, you've locked into China, but now it's like, okay, locked into China and get everything else.
And at the end of the day, I think it's also fair to say that whoever is going to win this match is going to go to China as first seed for EU, right? So, yeah, we are going to see the what seems like currently two best teams in Europe in the Onslaught mode. They are going to clash later today. That being said, though, Daki, I think that was your final appearance on the stream today, so let me take this opportunity to thank you very much for casting with me. It's, as always, been an absolute blast. However, we are going to rate this beautiful man later today as well, and he is going to cover something that is probably not less important than this tournament. It's going to be the NA equivalent, because NA also gets to send a team to China, and we are going to find out, well, today or tomorrow morning EU time, who that's going to be for North America. So for now, thank you very much, and we'll see you after the replays.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance.
Here we are, back again, and Moff is back. Tell a friend, and we are here with the finals of Mafia against W. It's going to be a best of 9, actually, not a best of 7. But both of these teams already are qualified to represent their region in China, Moff. And, well, W earlier today against Weekend, they looked very shaky, but Mafia against Hit, that was an absolute demonstration of power.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. I think at the very end of that match against Mafia, we saw glimpses of the sort of hit and run of old, the hit and run that we've seen in the past, but that was not to be the case. And Mafia, they complete the cycle. They do the thing that they seem to do only once every year or so, which is just wake up and they absolutely batter their arch rivals, the old enemy of hit and run.
Now, this match that's up and coming, the live pick and ban between the teams is still ongoing, by the way. It is actually a rematch of something that we had in this tournament already. It is a rematch of the 2-0 teams in the Swiss stage, and there, W kind of running all over Mafia. It ended up being a 5-0, and Mafia didn't really look like they had a chance, but that was last weekend. And in terms of, training in between teams in World of Tanks, an entire week of training can make a hell of a lot of difference. But here is the newly crowned best Polish team on the server. It is Mafia coming in under their captain, Profuse.
You're only as good as your last game, and for now, at least, Mafia, they are the kings of Poland once more. But I think you're putting it too mildly. Let's not beat around the bush. W, in the Swiss stage match against Mafia, they absolutely bodied them. They completely owned them. It was 5-0. They completely wrecked them. So Mafia coming into this one, are very steep underdogs. Couple that with the fact that essentially this match has no pressure, because the main objective of every team in this competition is to get to WCI China. And now both Mafia and W have secured that. W playing without pressure, I think it could... I don't want to say it is going to be a repeat, but there's potential.
Well, let's see. We alluded to it already. W looked very shaky in that match where it all counted against Weekend here. Community prediction, though, not as far in favor of W as some might expect here, actually. Only a 60-40, so that's almost even Stevens here. But I think it cannot be underestimated that W are going to play with a lot less pressure, and I think it actually did show in that match against Weekend. I'm not going to call out individual players, but some of them were looking extremely shaky. That might not entirely be the case here, because the past match, that one was probably the one that they were all hyping themselves up to, but there is such a thing as overhyping yourself.
For sure. You can definitely do that. The interesting thing for me is how Mafia find themselves in this situation. It's so against the run of form of them as a team in general. It always felt to me, especially in the last year, they're just a team that's just hanging around in the top 4, and it felt like they were stagnating on the backside a bit. But similar to last year, like I said, it swings and roundabouts. They had this big win in the Winter Invitational in December 2024, and it was like, oh, okay, Mafia are back. They're a top competitor. They can really stick it to the best, and that's why maybe going into the later seasons we thought, oh, they can still hang with it. And then they kind of dropped off a cliff, and then they do a performance like this against Hit and Run, showing that they are still in that top bracket. They're still in the tier 1 of Onslaught teams.
And I mean, especially after something like this, 5-1, and they were stealing rounds, they were dominating rounds. That's all of the things that you want to see from a top team. Whereas, yeah, W, they struggled against Weekend, but there also the question has to be asked, how much has the powers shifted amongst the Ukrainian player base, right? Because Weekend before that eliminated Rage, which used to be Cashback. First of all, though, before we are going to get in towards these finals for the AMD Onslaught Legends Cup number 4, there is a little reminder that, you know, we are not going to slow down with the tournament streams. Instead, far from it, just about 2 weeks from now, actually exactly in 2 weekends from now, we are going to have the Clan Showdown Finals on the 16th and 17th of August. And on those, we're going to switch it up a little bit, because there's going to be teams from Europe and North America that are going to be competing together in a single bracket. And there we also have some special prizes. Once again, thank you very much to AMD. There, it's going to be a GPUs for once, not CPUs. So maybe an incentive for a lot of players to play there as well. Talking about the CPUs, though, that is together with a lot of handy cash that maybe the teams will be able to spend in China. That is what the teams are going to be playing for here.
Maybe we should go in a descending order of PC components, so that the players can just slowly upgrade all the components rather than just stacking up a massive pile of GPUs and CPUs in storage. Suffering from success, of course.
I mean, DJ Khaled knew it all along, right? But yeah, I think either team, to put it mildly, wouldn't mind picking up the CPUs here once again. Currently, of course, we're waiting for the pick and ban in between both teams, and that just gives us a little bit more time to take a look once again at the schedule for the year that's still to come. We are now just before the finals of the AMD Onslaught Legends Cup number 4 here, and the teams that went 3rd and 4th on EU might or will be competing in the wildcard qualifier, which is happening on the 23rd of August, so 1 weekend after the Clan Showdown. Who will they be competing against? It's going to be against the second NA team. So the first NA team later today, or later tonight, is going to qualify to China as well. And the second NA team then is going to wait in the finals of the wildcard qualifier against the winner of the 3rd and 4th, or 3rd/4th place. So both of those teams are going to be playing against each other, and then the winner of those plays against the second NA team for another spot at WCI.
Yeah, those PowerPoint presentations, I'll just leave that to you. I just show up and I watch the games. But what I do know for a fact is whichever team does come second in the NA Onslaught, that's going to be really tough for them either way. You're going to have to go up against Hit and Run, who are going to be really quite hurt. They're battered and bruised after that one. They'll definitely want to be coming back with a vengeance, because China is the be-all and end-all for them as a team, right? And this weekend roster, which is just really going from strength to strength, they're looking more and more like they can be the new kings of UA. And like you said, the power dynamic in that region, the players all shuffling around, it's kind of it's the same kind of vibe as we have with the Polish teams as well. There's just two massive communities, the players just always shifting around, and they're always jostling for those top positions.
Yeah, and I think we had it today in the intro scene for our event. Never mind that, maybe something for the future, as finally we have the pick and bans locked in for the OLC number 4 finals. Mafia and W are gonna go at it, kind of in a show match to battle it out for dominance in Europe. Westfield and Studzianki being removed, respectively. We're going to start on Sand River, which Mafia had a very good showing on. W, honestly, not so much against Weekend. We're gonna go into Ghost Town, which is a map I believe we haven't really seen today at all. Pilsen and Ensk then being banned out, leaving Himmelsdorf, which is also yeah, kind of a wild map. We saw, I think, Mafia beating Aurora there, but maybe W spotted a weakness in Mafia's tactics, and then Muravanka is going to be our map number 4. Mafia just went 1-1 on Muro against Hit. Tiebreaker, if we get to it, it would be probably the most iconic of all maps. It would be a Cliff, so a very interesting set of maps, and I think the pick and ban here right now demonstrates that the teams definitely have watched what exactly the other team has been doing so far this tournament, and I wouldn't expect either team to hold anything back here, because in between now and future tournaments like OLS Season 4 and also WCI, I think it's fair to assume that the meta is going to change. So why keep anything back now?
Yeah, there's no point in strat saving at this point. WCI is a long way in the distance. I think there's a couple of interesting things to note about this pick and ban. First of all, Mafia picking Sand River as their first map. They lost this. It was one of the maps picked, obviously, in their 0-5 defeat against W before. So they already lost 2-0 against W on this map. Also interesting is that W is picking into Himmelsdorf. That was their first ban in the previous match against Weekend. Of course, different teams, different circumstance, but I expect that we'll see something unusual and perhaps a secret strat from W on Himmelsdorf. The other last interesting point is Cliff isn't getting picked by anyone at the moment. No one wants to ban it, so everyone's okay with playing the map, but it's just interesting, and perhaps it's a great thing, poetic, in fact, that Cliff, one of the classic all-time great competitive maps, is going to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think for now, like, of course, the most iconic maps are Cliff and Himmelsdorf, but Himmelsdorf, more of a recent addition to Onslaught, and I think teams are still, you know, trying to figure it out, maybe, trying to feel it out. But of course, both of the teams okay with playing it. That's why we might see it here. But first of all, Sand River is going to be played. Mafia are coming off a very strong showing against the team of Hit. W, however, they were okay with playing Sand River as well, and W are completely switching it up compared to their match with Weekend. There is not going to be medium tank shenanigans anymore. Instead, triple BZ75, Udas, double Whisker, and the Fosh B.
Yeah, Mafia also bringing triple BZ, the ever-present meta tank in Onslaught, it seems, at the moment. As much as I absolutely despise the tank, it is just working beautifully with the synergy on all of these lineups. Then we've got Yuzek in IS7. That's one of his favorite tanks. He loves driving around and just torpedoing straight into people. Then Kono in the CS, 430U of Orshek, and Profuse in the Udes. Interesting to note, no light tanks for either team.
No light tanks across the board. This once again means that both teams are going to be playing kind of blind against each other, as W are going to utilize that move straight in towards the cap that we have seen numerous teams play so far. This time around, no damage at all on towards the tanks in white. Make that one shot on towards Mentors, but with the Onslaught modifiers, what does one shot by a medium tank really mean on towards heavy tanks? Effectively, not a lot. Mafia, though, recycling a little bit the strat that we just saw against Hit. Yuzek once again gets sent in towards the artillery strike with the IS-7, capped down to 14 seconds. I don't think there is a reset bit really available on towards the strike, and this means that W cannot stay in the cap. Good shot on towards Konrad by the Bliskowitzer, but now it is the tanks of W that feel like they need to commit into the south. Once again, Yuzek finds himself in between a lot of tanks. Does W have the firepower to blow him up? So far, no.
He's got a lot of health in that IS-7. It's going to have to take a second round, but that strike could be huge. Hits 3 and stuns him as well. Mafia still holding on to the K-line right now. Yuzek has fallen, but he was only a temporary hold here as W look to continue pushing down the K-line. They are trying to focus out these BZs, but they don't have the highest DPM tanks, and the Foch is currently all the way in the back, probably on reload after doing an early clip in the round here. YOLO getting pressured. They're trying to block him. Cliff trying to just use his life as he falls slowly. YOLO now is the next focus, and he does get picked up by Yoss, who's come off of reload in that Foch B and is able to clip.
Indeed, Jos is able to clip here as a strike, is able to kill 2 of the people by W as well. However, the Foshby should be able to regenerate a lot of HP after this, and W, they're not done. Bark is blowing up as well. That means gun parity for the moment, but really just for the moment. The Inspire medium for W is gone. However, Kono may have bitten off too much, at least for now, as he has to book it out of here. Nepal, the player from France, does try to find him. He sees him, unable to put in a shot of damage. Orzhek also dangerously low as Konrad drops towards a one-shot, but at a humongous cost for Frugo, who takes 1500. Nepal with the strike, killing Konrad, though it is a 3-on-3.
Yeah, look at Profuse. He tried to push forwards. He's trying to avoid the torpedo of Frugo. Frugo moving forwards, trying to look for these kills, maybe trying to find Orzhek in that one-shot 430U. Nepal is in a bad spot. He is going to be dead. But how long is it going to take? Kono just needs to connect these shots. Perhaps a strike and a high roll might do the trick in order to find that kill, as he does manage to find it into the 3 versus 2, but Frugo immediately puts us back as he takes down Orzhek, who could not manage to evade his Bliskavitsa. Now Profuse is going to push on towards Yoz. Yoz only on 450 HP here. He's not going to be allowed to use his heal ability. Profuse is just going to drive straight towards him. He might even stop, just take the time to use the siege mode of that Udes, just slow down the pace of this battle. He's under no pressure. Yoz is in a terrible position for his tank. He has no HP to work with, and the mini strikes, they will just batter him. They will slowly kill him. They don't even need to push in towards him, and now in the 1 versus 2, Frugo does not stand a chance.
Absolutely not. That is 2 medium tanks against a turretless tank destroyer, so they are going to feast on the rest of his HP, and Frugo, the caller, the captain of W, gets picked up. It is going to be a first round for Mafia here in the finals, but W, they were putting up a fight, and we already know that this match here is not going to be the repeat of what we saw in the Swiss stage. Instead, Mafia with the first point of the board, with the potential to clean sweep on their own.
Yeah, they've already won 100% more rounds than they did in that previous matchup, but it's a great start, really. It's very important for Mafia, I think, to get a point on the board early, just to get some confidence in. Look at Kono go 7.9 in the CS 63. That is really, really quite something, especially when you consider the CS isn't ordinarily supposed to be a farming tank. You would expect that from the Udes of Profuse and the Inspire, and I think that Kono had a huge damage output in the previous match in the exact same tank on this map against Hit and Run.
Yeah, I mean, Kono, they're completely popping off. Absolutely. And on the other side, you also see something that maybe makes you raise an eyebrow, because Frugo normally the one to call for W, but here he also shows up with a lot of damage, albeit not enough to make up for that humongous farm by Kono, barely unable to break through that magical 8k barrier. As soon as you do have that 8k in front, in Onslaught, that really means you had a crazy game. But yeah, just shy of that, but also 4 kills for himself too. So he was whipping out the wheelbarrow and really carrying his team in this round. Always there when it was needed. And I mean, yeah, the CS, what kind of DPM does it have? 3k plus. And the fight, it went on for like 3 minutes. That means that he was able to put his gun to use for the absolute majority of the shootout. He wasn't always in the thickest of it, but he was definitely where his team needed him. Great round from Kono.
Yeah, and don't forget as well, he was using mini strikes pretty much permanently. He had them just always available because he was always shooting for the entire game, so that he probably did maybe like 1,000, possibly more from strike damage as well, even just with the little baby strike, which usually is considered to be quite harmless. You mentioned Frugo coming top on damage for W. Maybe it's a conscious decision by Mafia to not focus him, knowing that Frugo is not really supposed to be the star player of this team, and if you have the guy who's calling the shots and supposed to be the most vocal leader in the team, maybe it's an advantage to have him focus more on playing his tank rather than calling the shots. Of course, in real time, they're not actually going to do that, but it's just interesting food for thought.
Although I think we're getting a bit deep into the analysis here. Maybe not. This was only the first game, though, in this best of 9 here. And, well, W now has the chance, the opportunity to clap back. Although, I think it has to be said, W just spawned on the west side of Sand River. And normally the west is considered, nowadays, which is kind of crazy, to be stronger in Onslaught. As we have the predictions coming in, and we're kind of split dead in the middle, right?
I could be
5-3 for Ducky and me.
I could be in trouble very early days here. I'm already 50% of the way to having an incorrect scoreline.
Yeah, and Phil and you both going with W, but at the end of the day, this match really feels like it could be a toss-up in between both of those teams. Let's see how this one goes. I think we are ready to load into round number 2 of the finals here in the OLC number 4. W, they want to put one on the board, and they're trying to do it from the worst side on Sand River. A singular BZ triple bat chat, that feels kind of familiar for W. A Centurion AX, a K91, and a T100.
Could be some recycling going on, potentially. We'll have to wait and see. Interesting from Mafia, though. A curious pick of a Type 71. Not a tank that you see every day, but especially in Clan Showdown, that tank has really become quite popular because of its ability to go hold down. It's got this, I don't know, I can't remember what you call the mode, but it's improved accuracy mode, where if you hold your shots for a certain amount of time, then you become like a laser beam, which is it's really nice to have, especially when you consider that Onslaught has buffed dispersion modifiers already.
Oh yeah, I marked that tank recently on a press account, and the better dispersion actually is crazy. I think with the Onslaught modifiers, you should be able to actually get the tank down to 0 dispersion.
Yeah,
which
that's crazy.
Absolutely wild, as we can see the Tracers coming in towards Yuzek, but this time around unable to reset the artillery strike. So Mafia with the first little pickup here. Yuzek getting spotted again by Clerf, trying to, maybe blind shot one of the tanks, but so far so good for Mafia. They achieved something they weren't really able to in the previous games. They get that artillery strike with the IS-7. They do not even lose a loader in the process. And now the question is, how does W respond with that double bat shot in the north? There is a CS-63 that could get possibly rushed, but Orzhik with that STRV is going to have a say in the matter.
Definitely. He's just keeping an eye on everything that's going on. Itox getting spotted in his Batchat, caught out of position on the K-line, just off screen right now, down to about half HP. Certainly not ideal. I do wonder what he was doing down there, just going on some sort of exploration. But either way, that's decided. That's going to trigger W into making a move with the Batchats. They want to potentially try and focus out Yuzek.
Well, first of all, Clerf is going to get denied on the info tower now, trying to take it again, but finally the Batchats for W have entered the fray here. Yuzek starts melting in the IS-7. That is a lot of clip potential. Finally starts getting saved. A lot of artillery strike damage on towards Yoss here. That also takes shots from that CS-63. Finally, Bark is spotted. Yuzek still alive. He is like Neo in the Matrix, currently tanking shots left, right, and center in a hold down again. And we all know what happens if the IS-7 is hold down. That's a no pen.
Yeah, he's impossible to kill in this situation. W missed their opportunity. If they want to get that kill, they have to spend more resources to achieve that. And look at Mentos, that's just completely compromised him. But Yuzek is allowed to survive in the middle of all of these guns, this crossfire. Now we've got Profuse peeking in middle in the Type 71. He's got that powerful hold down tank available. Yuzek finally falls in his IS-7, but he has done more than enough, more than his team could ever have possibly hoped for, as Frugo commits forwards. But Mafia, they've got 2 CS here.
They've got indeed 2 CS, but Frugo now with the first good shot here. Second one into Barkus takes the track off as well. Clerf getting committed in towards the fight as well with the T100. And Ios joins from the side. Those are still auto-loading medium tanks, but Orzhik with that STRV has shots as well. Eos once again caught in not the best of situations, but is able to back off. A lot of fire towards YOLO as well as Mentos dies in the middle. Nepal now coming in with that K91. It is enough together with Clerf to take out spark is here. Now Kono is going to be the point of contention while Orzik rains down shots. Nepal, he wants to also chase that T100 while Itox, fully reloaded as well, comes towards Kono here. And I think Mafia in the west of the map, they just don't have the firepower.
He hit the rock. YOLO hit the rock as he tried to run away. That might cost him his life. And look at Conrad, the bodyguard. He's like, I'll help you out, buddy. I'm coming in to save you. In his IS-7, as Nepal's like, oh, shoot. I've got to run away from this situation. Conrad is ready to go. Torpedo activated on that towards that K91, but actually elects to just stop and play hull down. He doesn't actually need to commit in to get this kill right now. Why would you let Nepal in the K91 use his DPM when you can just play hull down? Nepal's still being forced to try and run away further because he knows that his position is compromised. YOLO and Orzik are there waiting on the ridgeline.
Yeah, currently W is still up a gun, but probably not for long as Nepal goes down towards a one-shot here. And now we have to wait and see how this one pans out as Conrad still creeping up towards the K91 of Nepal, but really taking a look at the HP Mafia, more than 3 times the amount that W have available.
Yeah, and look at Nepal, he will be falling. Orzik finds the kill. That was an inevitability, right? Into the 4v4. But look at the difference in HP. It is staggering. 7,000 for Mafia up against just 1.7 from W. I think the only thing that's in W's favor right now is that the tank that they want to get rid of the most is the one that's low HP, and that is YOLO in this T100.
Problem is they don't have any HP remaining. Clerv cannot really touch the information tower because he might just get blind shot by Orzik in that STRV. And Conrad, I mean, it feels like the heads of the Hydra, you get rid of one of those IS-7s, but then there is still a second one remaining, almost full HP. He can just go in towards the same hold downs that the first one finally died in, but yeah, you can see W here at desperate times, desperate measures. They're trying to put all of their eggs in towards one basket on the K-line, but they're going to push into the void, into absolutely nothing. Mafia playing an exceptional second game of Sand River here. That is going to put them 4-0 on Sand River today, assuming that nothing crazy happens.
Well, the crazy outcome is the very slim possibility that W somehow kill YOLO in his T100. Because if that happens, they'll be winning on draw rules, and they can essentially just run away from Comrade, Profuse, and Orzik for the next 3 minutes. But Comrade, you see, he's just got free reign. His team is just gone, you know, you're unleashed, buddy. You can just go, just run it down the K-line, just keep pushing. They don't have enough HP to fight you. They're forced to keep running as another strike hits Squeezy onto a one-shot in his Centurion AX, and they have nothing else to do. There's no other play other than just run away.
And tactically smart Mafia as well. They just used the plane on Clerv to reset Orzik that was taking the artillery strike, and yes, that's going to generate another plane for Clerv, but realistically, what does it matter? The STRV is just going to keep staying here, and as soon as that happens, Mafia will have a second strike available, never mind. Oh, but good shot from YOLO to pick up Clerv. That means no more planes for W, and the international team here right now doing a very good job of drawing out the game, but it feels like they're prolonging the inevitable. It's going to be 2-0.
Yeah, I think that really was their only chance. They're now boxed into the corner of the map. There is literally nowhere else to run, which is why Profuse is now able to find the kill towards Yoz. It's just Itox and Squeezy left, and Comrade will finally be allowed to catch them.
Yeah, I mean, Itox still enough HP to tank one of those IS-7 shots. That basically means they're going to be able to, well, pad their damage stats a little bit as Conrad shuts down Squeezy, but realistically, this game was decided minutes ago. W did a good job of prolonging it, did a good job of styling, but in the end, Mafia are going to win in the style of the sponsor of the tournament, AMD, and they're going to make it 2-0.
Yeah, a very, very strong start from Mafia, and they've completely flipped the script, or the vision I had in my mind of how this match might have gone, taking the early lead up on their own map pick. They analyzed, presumably, the games from earlier in the Swiss stage where they lost to W on this very map, and they've corrected those mistakes and they've managed to turn it around. It's a great start.
Absolutely, and this time it is Orzhek stepping up for his team. It is not always easy to put that STRV where it needs to be, but he certainly was able to this round, able to fend off those annoying bad shots close to their own spawn. And really, once again, just like against Hit, for Mafia, it is one of those games where every single player is in there. And yes, one of the IS-7s, the one that died, very, very low damage on Uzhek, but then again, I mean, it's not super low, 2.4k, and instead he sold himself at such a horrendous price. W spent so much to get that IS-7 out of the game that, you know, they completely lost track of what else was going on, and then, I mean, it was Mafia's round to pick up, and Mafia today do not seem like they're in the mood to let anything go.
No, certainly not. And you're right, W, they broke the bank on their own HP to try and get that kill on Uzhek. And I do kind of feel for him. Uzhek is that guy in the random onslaught queue. He makes the high impact play for his team, and then he's not going to get rewarded in the prestige points. But at least in competitive onslaught, he's rewarded very nicely with a round win, which is significantly more important.
For a second there, you sounded so British. I love it. Anyway, that was Sandriver.
What did I say that sounded particularly British? I have no idea.
It was just your dialect shining through on the high impact gameplay. But yeah, here we go in towards the second map of the day. It's going to be Ghost Town, and it is a map that we haven't seen today at all. We saw it yesterday a little bit, but there most of the rounds ended up being played in quite the unconventional way, so that is also the question. Will Mafia and W show off something cool that they've maybe kept in the back pocket, or is it going to be box standard? Because both are very viable ways of playing Ghost Town.
Yeah, Ghost Town's kind of really been mixed up in how the teams like to play it now. It's just so strange since like the meta changes and development of Rat Tactic and stuff. Rat Tactic, of course, isn't as powerful as it once was because the ability to get your strike back from a mini strike from a CS63, when you reset the cap with it, it's not as powerful. You don't get as many prestige points as you did before, so it's not as prominent. But it feels like most of the teams have reached a consensus of, okay, we have to at least play with 1 or 2 light tanks on this map, because otherwise we just get embarrassed.
Well, let's see. Let's also see if this match might turn into just about as big of a shipwreck as we see here in the back of the map video for W, because, well, so far, the reigning back-to-back OLS champion and WCI winner hasn't been able to perform. But talking about the Rat Tactic, Moff Ashi, here we go again.
We are so back. It's back once more. This time only with the 1 EBR, and there's definitely less light tanks than there were before. But the problem still persists that I explained earlier, is that it's harder to get your restrike back on those Leopard ones, which makes it more complicated. However, from the side of Mafia, they've brought 5 heavy tanks, they've got 1 Sente X and only 1 light in Kono, so this could be the prime setup to be exploiting and using the Rat Tactic, potentially.
Well, let's see, the double BZ75 and the IS-7 of Mafia are going to make their way in towards the cap. iOS, though, playing a dangerous game of World of Tanks, immediately takes a shot on the cross. YOLO doesn't mind if he does. It overpeaks with the HE, I believe, puts iOS down towards 817. iOS really trying to zone it out here for his team. Does temporarily lose track of that Centurion, respots him though, and does not dare to shoot. Finally does it, does not take a shot in return, but that is a very quick cap. The reset coming on towards Clerf as well. I'm not really sure if W even have the ability here to reset this down towards 2, down towards 1 second. Is there a reset available? No, Mafia once again cap it out, and it's going to be 3-0 W. They look bamboozled.
Oh no. Oh god. What a facepalm. That was Was that as bad? Let's compare, right? What was worse, the hit and run triple griller game on Sudzianki, or this? I think this was probably worse.
I mean, the hit triple griller game, it felt like Mafia stole it, right? But here, it just felt like Mafia were like, okay, if we're gonna meet Radstrat, we go triple cap, we have one reset available for that strike, and then what are they gonna do? Are they gonna commit close with light tanks, with leopards, against BZs? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I can't believe, though, the reason that W could not get a reset on the cap, they were collecting the one on the left-hand side on the one line, they would have gotten it in time, but somehow they let Kono take the Eastern strike for free on the field. He literally just committed into the field by himself in a game up against triple light. I have no idea how he was able to allowed to collect that for free. And then he used that strike to reset the one-line one, which ultimately won them the game.
Yeah. Once again, high impact gameplay from Kono here, showing up huge on Sand River 1, showing up huge on Ghost Town 1. So this means now 3-0 for Mafia. And, well, I mean, W, it's time to wake up. Maybe they were cooled off after their match against Weekend, but maybe it's time to get those, you know, those little hand warmers that you sometimes see people have at LAN tournaments to try and use them, because W at the moment not showing up in these finals whatsoever.
Maybe we should add them to the prize pool, get some of those hand warmers that we see Counter-Strike players using all the time. They love fiddling with them in between matches, and there's really not going to be much of a cooldown time, you would imagine, between this game and the next one, given that it literally lasted like 1 minute and we're straight in. Everyone's already prepared.
Well, I mean, not everything is lost yet for W in this match here. It is 3-0, but there have been comebacks, but the way that this match has been going so far today, Mafia definitely looks like the superior team so far.
Yeah, they are looking sharp. They're looking locked in today. But it would be the most Mafia thing, though. They won the, you know, let's not put like any disrespect, but they won the Winter Invitational, which, like, relatively speaking, in terms of like tournament importance, not like as big a deal as like winning an OLS season, and then winning this as well. They would have won the two tournaments in between that are not as important to win necessarily.
Well, first of all, let's go into round number 4. The second one on Ghost Town. W are switching it up. No red strategy this time. Triple BZ, triple Bliska, and the Inspire Medium 1-1B.
Meanwhile, Mafia going with E100, 277, CS63, Leo 1, and E4, EBR, and RHM. So they've concocted their own sort of combination of rat tactic. It's more like a half rat though. And don't forget, Kono, he was an absolute demon in previous OLS seasons in that EBR, so he can definitely do some work.
Alright, so this time around it's the BZs of W that are at the cap first. Conrad taking the first damage of the game, and the BZs indeed are going to commit on towards the cap. The light show begins as some of the W players also take damage. This time around, Kono is going to take the artillery strike, and if we take a look at the minimap, no one from W is able to reset that. No one has a strike of their own. There are no baby strike mediums available, so Kono has the artillery strike. So now we're entering the longer game. There will be a reset available at first, but after that, that's the question.
Yeah, there is the strike, but it only hits one, so 20 seconds on the clock. That's going to mean that Comrade is forced to go close. He has no choice but to peek in to reset, and this is what W are looking for. They want that tank that they can push on towards. They've got Inspire active from the 1-1B. Comrade forced to peek in to try and reset, but the base has been captured. I was not paying attention. I thought he managed to get it, but he didn't. And it's a mirror matchup. Both teams just capping it out within 1 minute.
Those certainly are some of the quickest games on Ghost Town that I have ever seen. It still feels like the first win on Ghost Town was faster, so if it goes down towards a potential tiebreaker, then Mafia should have the advantage. But for now, I think the most important thing to note down is that W managed to get into the game. Like, Moff, we have a match on our hands. Both teams have a point on the board.
Yeah, it's definitely one way to win a round of Water Tanks. That was those 2 games. They were 2 of the games of Water Tanks of all time. You can see a bunch of players doing 0 damage, didn't even get a chance to.
It's like the simulation of everyone doing damage is over. Now we are.
It's the new meta. Just go cap. Literally, just go into the cap. But I was so casual about it because the way that Comrade peaked is like, okay, he can use HE if he has to, but I guess he just bounced the shot, and then he was forced to drive in to try and block the cap even for like.
But he was too late about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just.
So kind of a blunder coming out from Conrad there as well. I'm just going to check. So yeah, he didn't have any reset points. So there's your problem right there. But yeah, that is a Ghost Town being split as well. And this means now that we are going into Himmelsdorf, a map that is kind of controversial, not as a map being played, but I think in between the teams, because there are some callers that really like sending tanks to the hill, whereas other teams don't do it at all. And there's kind of the big discussion, like, is it actually worth or not?
Yeah, but that's great. That's great that there's not a consensus among the community, because the last thing you want is for the meta to become stale and everyone just does the exact same thing every round. But we can throw Ghost Town in the bin. Essentially, the map didn't even exist, and we basically just played a best of 7. Since the teams just decided to have a truce in the middle of the game.
There was a small technical break, just 2 points got added, 1 for each team, and from Sand River now we go to Himmelsdorf. Yeah. There was a point in time when Himmelsdorf was, or had the potential as well for fast cap strategies, because teams hadn't yet figured out how to deal with those IS-7/Object 430U rushes in towards the cap, and then, being able to pick up points of interest to be able to reset, because the cap on Himmelsdorf is actually super small. You're completely able to reset, I think, even with a baby strike.
Yeah, but you can still utilize it as a tool to put pressure on your opponent, to force them into positions that they're uncomfortable with. Because it's not, there may be ideas in place and like protocols to prevent yourself from being capped, but I've seen, for example, I think it was Weekend. It was in the quarterfinal, right? They pushed straight into the cap with BZs up against Rage, and it just completely caught them out, and they were just chasing the game for the rest of the round because they were just forced to suicide in to go and reset. So it may not be the winning strategy, but it's definitely a tool.
Well, W are... I was
They're
about
cooking.
to say, yeah, they are definitely cooking. Double IS-4, quadruple CS-63, and an RHM. Are they on the wrong map?
It's another W special. This is what the point I brought up before we went into this matchup, right? I said I think W might have something special planned because they banned Himmelsdorf in their previous matchup, and then they pick it. So we can only assume that they had something special lying in wait for us. But Mafia, they're just going straight down the middle, presumably, because they've got quad Bliskavitsa.
I mean, the double IS-4 going towards the middle as well. Frugo and Itox might not like what they see. Currently, they don't even know what's happening here, and this is an absolute disaster for W currently unfolding because, well, Mafia is going to find out where those tanks are from W, and it turns out they aren't where they are needed. Maybe they're able to rain down some shots from the hill. However, double IS-4 is pretty chunky, is pretty tanky. Both of them driving to a window, and that opens up the lines of fire for the CS-63s from the hill. That is a lot of DPM. You can see the IS-4s trying to tank it away. Yuzek once again, the wall himself, but he gets broken.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. The IS-4s, they're safe inside their houses, their little homes, protecting them. Now they're getting shot in the back. There's crossfire from the CS, but this lane, this street, Mafia, they can't go back into it to kill the IS-4s. They're being covered fully from the hill. There's a couple of pot shots going in right now, but these IS-4s at the moment seem to be unkillable.
Yeah, currently also the IS-4s should have a group heal ability, so if they time it right and do it one after the other, they're going to get double trouble, as Kono also in trouble, takes 3 shots from the hill down towards 557, as also Arzek unable currently to take the artillery strike below the hill, because those CSs, that is a lot of them, they still have a lot of strikes. IOS using the ability as well again, and Mafia seem a little bit dumbfounded what they're supposed to do against this very unconventional tactic from W.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do against this? Barkis is going to have another look though, but look at Frugo. He's making a move, he's being proactive in the game to try and find some different angles, and they're going to go for Orzhek because he's not really being covered by anyone right now. And Nepal and Klurf, they're just going to double team him. Orzhek, he's got his ability, of course, but with his ability popped, 1 HP of Track Elf, they're just going to perma him, and he won't even get to shoot unless Klurf, of course, just sits directly in front of him. That's another possibility as well. But Mafia, they're coming back in. They're going to try and kill the IS-4s, but I think it's probably going to be too little, too late.
Yeah, as Orzhek does indeed get blown up, and in the meantime, Frugo has fallen in the IS-4. This means that no a tank on the W lineup has any kind of armor to speak of anymore, and now Mafia sees their chance because a lot of the HP of W is still on the hill. Klurf running towards the hills, running towards the castle of Himmelsdorf here, but the tanks of Mafia are just in a blob here. Strikes going down, big strikes, even big baby strikes. That's 500 damage on towards one of them. They're chasing those tanks, but that is CS63s that they are trying to chase here. Almost light tank mobility. Talking about mobility though, Mentos taking a completely different look at a crappy angle, turns, flips over and gets caught, and all of a sudden Mafia, I mean the HP are even, but man, this is turning into quite the show, Moff.
Yes, the tables are turning one way and another. This game is pure content right now. Mafia, you'd almost say that they're in the commanding position once again. Like, all of that work from W, the IS-4s, the trap, the bait almost, and the crossfire, and then all of that leading up to Mentos flipping his CS, that advantage that W had built up, it's all gone. And not just that, but the guns are now even as well. But maybe, hang on, maybe, given that W has a lineup that has less HP, the HP is really fairly even across the board. There's a bit of healing going on in the meantime, but maybe W are still winning based on damage dealt, but they're a gun down, and that is a problem.
That is indeed a problem, and I'm not even sure they're winning on damage dealt, because remember, 2 of those tanks on the W lineup that are dead are IS-4, and they're extremely beefy. Is Conrad able to spot out Nepal for the cross here is the question. Nepal might not even be running low noise. It's a possibility with the CS63 on Himmelsdorf, actually. But yeah, he does get spotted. Conrad looking at all of them. Good shot in towards Squeezy. They might want to drive over, and at that distance, the CS63 is derping into the wall, derping into the ground, jumping around, but not finding any opening.
No, and Mafia have full information on this. They're just keeping tabs on where these CSs are going. As long as they know where they are, they're not a threat to this Mafia lineup. They can just hunker down and wait for the push to come. They're all grouped up here, and they should be covering as well. There shouldn't really be a way that this works for W.
Let's see, Nepal now getting spotted against Rexar. That's going to be a trade that's of course in favor of the BZs, and you can see those CS63s very squishy, and they have to play the corners, the angles against tanks with high alpha. Conrad also in a hold down spot here with another shot in towards IOS, and I think we're starting to see the beginning of the end of a very ingenious tactic by W, but maybe they were keeping it just for a moment like this because they just weren't sure if it was going to work. And well, if one of your players flips, then it's for sure not going to work. I think if Mentos stays alive, they're actually in a very good position, but without him, it's just not doable. Klurf also getting shut down, and Squeezy now in that last CS63 just gets to watch as Profuse drives at him, rams into him, Rexar to shut it down, Mafia to make it towards match point 4-1 in an extremely entertaining round on Himmelsdorf.
What a contest between these two teams. We went from just pure admiration as to how that unfolded with the IS-4s in the window and the combination of the crossfire from the hill and the kind of bait that it set up. And then from that to just complete horror, like the worst case scenario, having a player flip and die in their tank almost from full HP for free. And that really did change the entire nature of the game, because they would have been up in HP, probably up in damage dealt, and they would have had even guns, and that would have forced Mafia to try and take some initiative.
Yeah, I mean, Conrad this time top damage. Perfect shooting by him as well. And realistically, I think you could clearly see what the game plan was. It was a smirky and interesting idea coming out of them, but yeah, at the end of the day, I mean,
it's the trade-off. It's the double-edged sword of playing a high-risk strategy, right? You have to execute it to such a high level in order for it to work effectively, and you know, even down to the tiniest details of things that you don't even consider. There is a bump. I know where it is. I know what he's flipped on as well. It's very unfortunate that I know that. I think you can probably guess why from personal experience. But even down to those minute details, that this stuff matters, right?
Absolutely. And now what matters is for both of those teams the coming round as well, because as I alluded to it already, Mafia is on match point. They need just one more to crown themselves the AMD OLC number 4 champions, to crown themselves also the victors of Europe and lock themselves in as the European first seed for WCI. And for W, I mean, you can clearly see that they're here to play and that they're also here to have fun, definitely, but they probably would like to pick up more than a single round at least, and I mean, get a couple rounds more, and then you can see what you can do from there.
Certainly, and I think the clash of culture of both of the way that these two teams play, Mafia is just no nonsense. We just play our strat, nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated, and we just execute it to a higher level. No bullshit, nothing going on there. And W's just always feels like they're trying to do something more interesting, trying to put on a show, and it's not coming off today.
Well, it all might come down to this coming round here. Is Mafia going to take it home with their nonsense approach, or is W going to yet again revolutionize how another map in Onslaught is going to get played? You can certainly see the confidence on the team of W here, that even in a final like this, they're just happy to show that, you know, they trained Himmelsdorf like this, and it might have worked. That's the crazy thing about it, right? But for that, everything needs to go right, and it certainly didn't last round. So let's see what we are going to have cooked up in this potentially last round of the AMD OLC number 4 EU. Let's get into it. W this time, kind of non-nonsense as well. Triple BZ, Centurion, triple Bliska.
Yeah, they're going for the push, going in for the killing blow. Mafia trying to secure the win here with 5 E4s, a 121B, and a CS63. So that is quite the firepower lineup with all of those E4s. Going to be very tricky to kill, but on the other hand, they're also quite slow, so if they get caught out of position by this pushing lineup from W, it could be a problem.
Well, let's see. I think openings and timings are going to be the deciding factor in this game number 6. As Mafia sending the E4 hit squad through the 7 line to potentially punish in towards the middle of the map, but W instead opting to go for the 2 and 3. On towards the rails with the Bliskas, with the BZs. X marks the spot, starting to advance down the 3 line. Currently no one spotted yet, and that is why Squeezy is opting and selecting to run. Itox doesn't see anyone, the first one to peek with the BZ75 of his own, and it feels like the two teams are avoiding each other a little bit here. Kono getting spotted on the cross. but the shots so far missing him. Itox and Kono starting to trade, and I think Kono realizes, oh crap, that's a lot of tanks coming my way, but they're going to be peeking in towards a lot of E4s. Itox thinks better of it though. One shot whizzing past him, he gets out unscathed.
That's a familiar position that Kono has taken. I wonder what round that could have been used in previously, but he's nice and tucked away there. They can't manage to kill him. They will have to try and go for some different ideas here, and already you can see Mafia Comrade making a very wise move, very important to pay attention to. He's gone for that mid-strike early, which means that they are going to be locking down that cap circle, just making sure that the cap is not going to be a problem for them. But W are not interested in that. They are grouping up to try and peek against Kono, but again, this position, just like with the IS-4s, even if it's an E4, it's still very difficult to dig him out.
Well, first of all, Nepal donates a shot of damage in towards Barkis, who is going to chill for the moment. But Kono, I think W know how to counter the positions they played last round. You can see Ios is unspotted on the rubble near the cap. That seems to be a clear counterplay on towards Kono, as Clerf also with a good shot. And Kono is going to possibly take yet another shot. Indeed, Ios completely knows how to counter the position, so W are very aware.
I suppose that's why you bring an IS-4 instead of an E4 in that situation. Clerf getting a different angle as well. So even if Ios didn't have that angle, then Clerf probably would have been able to get the kill. But that is that's a nice way to start the game if you're W. Certainly picking up a whole gun relatively for free, we would say, into the 7 versus 6, and that is going to be a bit of a problem for Mafia because their lineup is so passive, it's so slow, it's very hard for them to make any kind of repush. But never mind repushing, W just keep going. They are going to push into Mafia. It's going to be this or bust for them in this match.
They start off with a little bit of HP advantage, but the strike, it's going to be huge. It's going to be hitting 4 tanks at once. That is 1600 alpha damage, as Barkis is now the one to feel the heat, really starting to take damage, but so far so good for him. Frugo already needs to reverse in that Bliskavitsa, down towards 200, gets killed off, as Mafia are able to fend off against this push from W in the north of the map. Itox has made it over to create Crossfire, and Yuzek now the point of contention. There's a lot of tanks coming his way. Mafia starting the repush.
Yeah, Itox is about to get blown up if they all connect these shots. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's not quite as spectacular as that, but Rafu should still be able to find that kill nonetheless, unless he's bouncing his shots. Itox, he actually manages to find the kill. That is interesting that he manages to find that one. Profu's not able to circle around that 121B, and now Squeezy is looking to find the kill, does not connect the shot on Yuzek. That could be costly in the end game here, it being so close, and with the ability up, Yuzek survives on 5 HP just like he did in that hero round on Sand River. Yuzek is the unkillable machine in Onslaught.
Indeed, Yuzek now also reloaded, but he's being shielded by Conrad as Squeezy tries to get him, doesn't manage to. Yuzek still alive on this 5 HP. That is such a little, but it's enough. It doesn't matter. Mentos putting another one in towards Conrad. Ios in the 2v3 trying to get the shot as Yuzek finally dies. Has he done enough is the question, as Rexa still very, very healthy. Are they able to pick up Ios? They do, and I think Mafia are on victory street here on Himmelsdorf. They completely rewrite the map and rewrite all of the scripts that everyone had. It's going to be them taking the finals in a 5-1 fashion. Absolute domination.
Fantastic showing from Mafia, and no one is going to remember that one Swiss stage map from long ago in distant memory where W absolutely dominated. It's Mafia who are the champions today. 5-1, just a minor hiccup where W rallied a little bit and you thought maybe they could get back into it, but Mafia, they dominate, no nonsense approach, and all I can say is TikTok generation, man. Why did W push? Why did they feel the need to push? They were in a good position. They were up 7 versus 6, but they just couldn't help themselves. They just gotta keep pushing.
I mean, yeah, no-nonsense approach here by Mafia, coming out with all those E4 tanks, and once again, Yuzek. I mean, he ended up dying in the final, in the dying moments of the match, but him staying alive mattered so much in this last situation. Actually,
it changed everything.
Good shielding going out as well. Squeezy just wasn't able to get that final kill shot, the one that mattered, and I can't help but feel like W were trying to get a little bit ahead of themselves after getting this first kill. Like normally, when you're playing 7 versus 6, it's so hard for the opposing team to come back into it, but, you know, if you put everything into a push like this and you aren't 100% sure where the opponents are, then you run the risk of getting countered, and that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, Mafia with a kind of miracle run, dropping a total of 3 rounds over the entire course of the playoff stage, are going to win the tournament. Congratulations to Mafia, but also congratulations to W. I think they have both made their dreams come true. They are going to be the ones that will definitely represent EU in China.
Yeah, and it's a first time for a lot of these guys, because normally it's Hit and Run, who are always the main representation of EU in the WCI China tournament, but it's going to be W's first time for all of those players. I think the only guy who would have been there before is Yuzek, correct? There may be a couple of other Mafia guys because of the Polish roster shuffles and them all being on. I
think Conrad was there as well.
Yes.
Maybe Rex.
Of course, because we got to go all the way back to What 7 when you had Hit and Run, and then it was Oppo, the other Polish lineup back then. So, you know, a couple of those guys, that experience could really pay dividend when they get there. W, they've never played a LAN before. They probably never met their teammates before either, which is quite the experience.
Yeah, so desks in China, beware. Yuzek is coming back for you. But yeah, Morph, thank you very much for casting with me. It's, as always, been a pleasure. And this is going to wrap up the OLC number 4 for us on EU. But there is still more Onslaught content coming your way later today. There is going to be the OLC number 4 4NA as well. It's going to happen at 22 UTC. That's the planned start. And you will be able to catch it live on Dakilzo's channel, of course, as well. We're going to raid him. Maybe you will be live as well during that time, Moff.
Maybe a bit late for me, not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, you're 1 hour.
Yes, that's true. You know, I got the.
You're in the UK, so technically for you it's only 11 PM when it starts.
UK
right?
time zone buff, maybe I'll watch it.
But yeah, we'll see. First of all, though, huge thanks go out as well to the players. First of all, for putting on a show today, quite the entertaining matches, and also towards the people behind the camera, to Daki as well, who did an amazing job of casting the first 2 matches of the day, and also to everyone out there watching us. It's been a blast, but without you, there would be no sense in doing it. So thank you very much. And with that, the last words of the day, Moff, go to you.
It's been a pleasure to be back. I've been out of the loop for a while, but I came back in. I got to cast a semi-final, immediately into a grand final. So it's been a great day. I look forward. There's always more competitive water tanks rolling around the corner. You guys are just pumping out tournaments. It feels like every 2 weeks there's already going to be another clan showdown, which there's teams already preparing for. So we're going to see Mafia and Hit and Run reuniting once more in that superpower that is Invil, the sort of almost unbeatable force in that mode.
All right, so thanks a lot. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for Clan Showdown.
This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. Powers cloud services for billions. Helps change the course of climate change. And uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD. Together, we advance. This is the world's most